You're listening to the 8 Steps to Success as read by the author, Andy Albright.
Okay, this is Andy Albright, and what I wanted to do is put my first book, The 8 Steps to Success, on audio CD for folks to listen to while they're riding down the road after so many requests. And I will say it just blew me away, the reception of my book and how many people said they got things out of it, and I absolutely enjoyed writing it. So I hope that providing this book on audio will be received with the same enthusiasm that the book was. So the book was composed in July of 2010. It's the first time that we published, and now it's been published. I think we've come out with it 4 different times now. The first thing in the book that jumps out at you is my dedication to my wife, Jane Albright, and it's because she showed the true meaning of courage and determination with her triumph over cancer. She kept an incredible positive mental attitude, and it's something most people couldn't accomplish. Jane Albright, you are my rock, my compass, and my motivation to do more. The next element of the book is the foreword by Dr. J.L. Williams. Dr. J.L. Williams has an international ministry located right here out of the Burlington area. He really lives in the Graham area, but his ministry is worldwide, and we do many different things to support his ministry. Just an incredible human being that I respect. This is his dedication or his foreword to my book. This is from J.L. Williams. This is not just a book about how to succeed in business. It is a book about how to succeed in life. That's because the same principles that will help a person succeed in business are the same ones that will help them succeed in life. It is impossible to disconnect life and leadership. Success in one opens the door to success in the other, and it goes back to attitude, as Andy emphasizes over and over again in his book. Since attitudes are the dress rehearsal for actions, a positive mindset is absolutely essential for success in both life and leadership. So it is attitude more than aptitude that determines a person's altitude. Your mental attitude will largely determine whether you fly or flop in life. Through the principles of this book, Andy rightly emphasizes business as ministry, because that's what God created man in his image and likeness. As the creator and owner of everything, Psalms 24, verse 1, God is the eternal entrepreneur and ultimate investment capitalist. After creating man, he entered into a business partnership with the first man and woman and commissioned them to, quote, rule over, subdue, have dominion, be a blessing, end quote. Genesis verses 26 through 28. God has not changed his business plan. He continues to entrust his resources to our stewardship. He expects us to maximize every opportunity for his glory and for the benefit of others. That's why the Bible teaches that our work and our worship are never separated. As Andy points out, our business is our platform to serve God and serve others. Simply put, other people are the purpose for our prosperity. So I really enjoyed reading that overview with J.L. Williams when he first read it, or when it was first written, and I appreciated him taking the time to do that. Then there are numerous endorsements from Alex Fitzgerald, Art Leeser, Shawn Mike, John Wilson, Mark Womack, Stephen Davies, Barry Clarkson, Adam Katz, Chris Revis, Andy Riddle, Alex Abian. I'll read you one from my wife, Jane Albright. This is her quote: "No life ever grows great until it is focused, dedicated, and disciplined. Moreover, I do not know any individual other than Andy that is so focused, dedicated to seeing individuals rise to the top, and certainly disciplined in his leadership ability and in his reading and studying to take individuals where they need to be. Good people do things with money, and Andy is sharing his blessings with you through his 8 steps to success." Jane Albright. And it's a wonderful picture of Jane and Haley there. So many other endorsements that I'm not going to read on this audio. And I do enjoy looking at the pictures in here of Mary Lou Retton, people like Thurl Bailey, John Schneider. So you're missing it if you don't get the book, but I hope this audio helps. This is the beginning of my book. This book is a guide for lifelong success, yours. While other people may want to limit you, I certainly do not. Neither does God. As the Bible says, if God is for us, then who can be against us? I would like to see you rise above the negative perceptions, feelings, and influences that are holding you back. I want you to find the freedom in life that I have found, and I want you to find a successful team where people are willing to help one another. If you're willing to come along, I'm willing to give you step-by-step directions toward financial freedom and personal success. A complete program called The 8 Steps to Success. I am not referring to being comfortable with good income. I'm referring to personal financial independence. Every day my net worth grows because the people I've helped are seeing their own net worth grow also. My most successful team members follow the program, The 8 Steps to Success, to the letter. The 8 Steps to Success describes the actions that must be taken in order to experience success in business and in life. They are not suggestions to help you along, they are requirements, in my opinion, that is, for anyone who wants to truly succeed. If you ask any successful businessman if he practiced the 8 steps to success, he will tell you he has never heard of them. But if you ask him if he practices any one of the steps individually, he will certainly say yes. In fact, these steps are likely at the core of what that successful person does. What follows is my personal story, the story of National Agents Alliance, or as today we call it, the Alliance, which is the company I helped start, and it will include the roadmap that can put you on the path to wealth and freedom. I suggest you read this book with an open mind and see the possibilities of yourself, and then decide whether you too have the desire to succeed and be financially free. Chances are, if you've purchased this book, the answer is yes. So jump in and begin your personal story to success. So the next section is how my story continues, or how it began. Here it goes. I am a small town boy from Union Ridge, a community in the town of Burlington, North Carolina, who has achieved financial and personal success through a company called National Agents Alliance, otherwise known as NAA or the Alliance. The company started with myself and 2 main partners in 2002. While building National Agents Alliance into what it is today, my wife, partners, friends, and I have been blessed to see a lot of other people become financially successful as well. In reality, my journey to success started way before my company was started. Let's go back about 40 years ago and start from there. I was not born into a business environment or a wealthy family. I did not personally know anybody who was rich until I was an adult. However, I've always wanted to know how to be successful in the business world. Early on, I looked around and came to the understanding that some families knew how to create wealth while other families just did not. My parents were certainly some of the hardest working folks God ever put on this earth. Their expectations in life were, however, limited. So limited that even as an 11-year-old boy, I sometimes felt that they did not know how the good life could be. My father enjoyed working so much, he felt like work itself was its own reward. He needed little else to satisfy him. My mother sometimes felt discriminated against, as if her life might have been different if she had been given another person's resources. As far as I could see, my parents were just free to do as they pleased, just like anybody else was, but they were unaware and did not understand how to create wealth, nor did they seem to understand wealth's true benefits. As a matter of fact, I remember my mom announced one time that we were going to buy a Cadillac. She screamed, "A Cadillac!" We were going to be just like the big shots. What my mom brought home was a 6-year-old blue monster with plush, lumpy back seat. She was very proud of this car, and she had worked hard to get it. Despite, or maybe because of the Cadillac that she bought, I knew we had not achieved real big shot status. I knew, in fact, that we looked at best like wannabes. Looking back, I'm still not sure my parents understood the difference between our Cadillac, the big blue monster, and other Cadillacs that didn't have that blue Cadillac monster appeal. My parents did the best they could for us and were capable of great, low-cost inventions in making our childhood fun and memorable. My whole family loved baseball and going to ball games. My father converted an old green Toyota truck into a camper with a cab made of pink and white aluminum siding. An actual trailer house door turned sideways was used for the back door of the camper. He constructed seats from the camper out of two 2x4s, and my friends and I sat on these makeshift benches on the way to ball games. If it was 100 degrees outside, it was 120 degrees inside this camper. I remember arriving at baseball games in that makeshift camper and seeing other families pour out of their air-conditioned rides. We had our packed brown paper sack lunches, and they had their takeout restaurant food. These families often ate in restaurants, sometimes more than once a day. It blew my mind. They ordered Coke and Pepsi instead of water with their meals. They read from the menu from left to right instead of right to left. They lived in grand homes, and our camper just rolled on by them. They appeared to know the secrets to wealth creation. As a kid, I sometimes wish I could have just gone up and knocked on the doors of the big homes we passed by and said, "How did you do that? How is it done? What did you do to get this? What is your secrets?" Now, don't misunderstand me. I had an incredible childhood with many fond memories. Although my family did not understand how to create wealth, they did encourage me to believe I could do anything I set my mind to. I was never taught that there were any limits. Many people have been limited by others from the start, and too many are limited by their own pessimism as to what they can achieve. I will always remember my mama saying, "Andy can do anything he sets his mind to," and I still believe that she said today. Then there are those who believe everyone knows or should know how the world works, which involves finding a good paying job, saving money, minimizing risk, and slowly making headway. These are the people climbing the corporate ladder, happy with an annual raise and some benefits, or selling some real estate thinking they're successful at $100,000 a year, because to them that's a lot of money. Many succeed in this way, but their view of the world and success is extremely limited. If that is what they want, I am all for them. But if they are complaining at that level, then it is their own fault. They don't have to stay there. From the beginning, all I knew was that I needed to start working, so I did. In my farming community, I grew up working on tobacco, raking pine needles, raising goats. I tried to reinvest my wages in whatever business I was engaged in. I would try to increase its production capacity. I understood that more productivity equaled more money. This gave me one clue as to what was ahead, but really not much more than that. I have learned that success in this world is limitless to those who are willing to work it or work for it, provided they don't limit themselves and provided they don't settle or just plain quit. Also, I know that God is in charge and rules everything. I just know the opportunity is there to succeed. The people I knew growing up worked hard for a living, some improving their lives, but too many of them were just living to work and working to live. Some of those folks, like my father, were fortunate. They just simply liked to work. My dad had other interests, and he found time for them, sure, but he never complained about working that I can ever remember. He never really desired to have more than he had. In this way, we were different. Still, he taught me the pleasures of working hard and how God has created us to work and to give back, and for that I am forever truly grateful to my father. I quickly learned the rewards of work and dedicated myself to finding ways to increase those rewards, not only for myself but also for others. I owe much of my success to the help and encouragement of others, and I do not want to leave this world without having paid that forward. If I was not born optimistic, I became so at a time before I can even remember. I have learned the value of always projecting my positive outlook. My parents, I now see, encouraged that in me, with my dad always being happy in work and Mama being a natural encourager and always full of joy. She used to tell people about me, "That boy doesn't start anything that he don't somehow finish." Hearing her say that made me believe in myself. I have had this inherent quality of not giving up, and I mean never giving up. You know the old question of seeing the glass half full or half empty? I do not see it either way. To me, the glass is always completely full. It is half full of water and half full of air, and air is a pretty important commodity. I have learned that success is built on obstacles, and that obstacles, even failures, are important as successes. When selling, the misses are as important as the hits. Without the failures, there's no celebration in the success. Having confidence, optimism, and a love of work are helpful in getting ahead. As a young man, I saw that there are lots of people with those qualities and with plenty of ability, education, and even social positioning who never ever succeed financially. I did not want to be that way. I wanted unlimited opportunity, and I wanted to rise as high as I could. While I always worked hard at whatever job I had, I was continuously looking, asking, and inquiring about how people were getting ahead. This natural curiosity led me down a career path that many would find implausible, if not slightly crazy. Few can probably say that since leaving the career for which they were educated, that they have sold heavy equipment, raised goats for breeding and selling, hosted a radio show, became an Amway Sapphire distributor, which is a unique level in the Amway multi-level distribution world, and all this prior to finding their niche in life, starting a company and running a multi-million-dollar insurance marketing company. That is a different path, and that's kinda or parts of the one that I took. I will tell you a little bit how all this happened, and you will get a feel for how I learned the principles behind the 8 steps to success. First, I earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Textile Science from North Carolina State University in 1986. I chose to go to school to North Carolina State because it's an agriculture and mechanical school, and both of my parents loved NC State athletics. The Carolinas were rich in textile manufacturing in those days, and I knew that with a degree in textiles and my work ethic, I would be the kind of person companies would be looking for. I was somebody who could join their management team and help build a textile manufacturing company. I met Jane Hooks my freshman year in college, and we dated all through college. We were married just 6 months after graduation. She wanted children as soon as possible because having them seemed practical, and then our lives would all be set. My senior year in college, I interviewed with every textile company that came to North Carolina State looking for talent. I would sit down with the recruiter, listen to his questions, give him my answers, and when it was over, I would ask him, not really worrying if I would get a job at all, I would ask him how my answers sounded. What did I say that impressed him positively or negatively? And most of the interviews I attended were just for the education or simply practice interviewing skills. I knew I would get offers. I wasn't worried about that. I wanted to be prepared to interview well for the job that I did want. That's why I was practicing with every single person that came in to interview. I was offered and accepted a position at Burlington Industries, whose personnel manager, Don Rose, I had met playing golf while I was still a student. My first position paid $25,500 annual compensation. From the beginning, I dressed like management, like the people who had hired me, because I wanted to relate to them. I would do anything that was needed to succeed. That was my foundational attitude. My wife, Jane, was teaching school, and our future looked bright. However, I was soon dissatisfied working a job for a living. Even while I was moving up with the company, I was always aware I was working for somebody else's big company, and not for myself. I can remember one of my early bosses, a big Citadel graduate with a perpetual mean look on his face, Cheryl Taylor. I will never forget how he kept a toothpick in his mouth, which is how he had kicked the smoking habit. I always knew I was in trouble when he switched that toothpick from one side of his mouth to the other, and he would say, "Albright, come here." He never came to me. I always had to go to him. He would point out everything he saw that he did not like about my area of responsibility. I mean, he would see a chewing gum wrapper laying on the floor. He was something else on detail. He was actually an incredible boss. He taught me to look at operations with a critical eye. However, I knew after the first time he barked at me that I did not want my life to be controlled by somebody else. If I was going to succeed, I had to take control of my own life. I had to leave my job. I had to invest my money, my talents, my ambitions into a profession that would allow me to grow my income and would also allow me financial independence. So now, into the next little section here, finding and following a system. Jane and I reached a turning point in our lives through the most difficult challenge Jane and I had ever faced. In November of 1989, Jane began having health problems and was eventually diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, which is a form of cancer, in January of 1990. We were still newlyweds at the time, having only been married for a little more than 2 years, and we were certainly financially big time insecure. I do not remember being scared so much as thinking, what do we need to do to cure this illness? I was planning, as Stephen Covey recommends, with the end in mind, and the end I envisioned was Jane being healthy again, and that was all that mattered. I wanted to take the steps that would create this end, and I also knew that ultimately God was in control. I was astonished by what the doctors told us. They said the success rate for putting Hodgkin's into remission was high, and that if you had to have cancer, this is one of the good ones to have, because the cure rate and the statistics were so good. Great. Then they told us that if we followed the strict program that would be laid out for us, that her chances of getting well would even be increased more dramatically. So I asked them, so if we follow the prescribed steps, our chances of getting well are greater. If we do not follow the rules or the outlook, is it worse? And they said, yes, absolutely, it is worse if you don't follow the steps. Now, we are talking about life and death, but apparently there are people out there who refuse to work a program that will save them and increase their chances of living dramatically. That made absolutely no sense to me, and still does not make sense to me today. Jane and I agreed that then and there that we would follow the program exclusively and pray. In other words, we would pray like it depended on God and work like it depended on us. Jane's treatment involved a strict regimen of chemotherapy and radiology. It was miserable, but a necessary evil for her, with trip after trip to the hospital. I continued to work at my textile job, and Jane's mother and sister often went with her for her treatments. Amazingly, through it all, Jane kept working as a school teacher. She would get treated, then go to work, then get treated, then go to work. The pattern continued for roughly 8 months. Our financial situation was such that she just was not going to quit working, or else we would lose what we had, which was really not all that much on hindsight. Jane's illness made us aware of how important prescribed steps can be and how people actually can follow a proven system, even when their lives are at stake. In my work life, I thought I was following a program that would lead to unlimited success for which I dreamed. I was working the corporate program and asking, how can I get into the very top of the company? The president of Burlington Industries, the textile company that I went to work with, he was a man named George Henderson. I once saw a magazine article that said he was making about $1.1 million a year. I still have the article. Someday I wanted to be president of that company and make the kind of money he was making. When I talked to the people about my ambitions, the other managers, they said it was impossible. The corporate system did not allow for people in my position to rise to the top. The mere possibility that I was going to be limited made me search for an alternative path, alternative strategies to just achieve success on my own terms. Also, Jane's serious illness made me realize that I never again wanted to be in a position where both of us had to work while we were sick. I was grateful for the courageous sacrifices my wife made, but swore that no one in my family would ever go through the same type struggles again. I began learning about franchises and multi-level marketing. I read everything I could get on them. Both of these business models allow for increasing leverage through duplication of efforts. The more locations somebody owns, the better prices the owner can negotiate with suppliers. The more people that work for you distributing your products, the greater the profit you are able to collect from a percentage of the sales. It sounded like the greatest idea I'd ever had. Of it myself, but it's the greatest idea that I ever copied from somebody else. Although I now realize that I needed to work for myself, I did not quit my job. I continued to do well in my career. I eventually became an area manager. I directed 8 supervisors, 2 secretaries, and 380 other staff members. I received regular raises and was making really good money. I even joined the local country club. However, my earnings were limited, and they always would be. In 1991, I was chatting with a colleague, Veronica Hedges, and she was a successful Amway distributor. I asked her about the company, having studied it as a part of my research into franchises and multi-level marketing. She had never spoken to me about it because of my position in the textile industry. She thought that I would not be interested. However, I was very interested, and I started learning the business immediately. Amway is a great organization for making extra money, but I soon began to see that it was not what I wanted long term. It was hard to increase volume because there were so many competitors, and the products themselves had a thin profit margin, in my opinion. I also learned something about myself while working with Amway. Initially, I found that selling was very uncomfortable. Selling with Amway involves recruiting others to sell with you and for you and building up your, quote, downline, end quote. You're trying to convince either friends and family or complete strangers to come into your organization. That made me uneasy and uncomfortable, but I did it anyway, and I actually became good at it. I became comfortable with selling Amway when I realized that the products and the recruiting were beneficial for people to whom I was talking. Once I looked at it as helping them, I was more comfortable in the business. Actually, I began to fall in love with helping others that wanted more in life. I also learned the importance of buying your own product. I cannot sell to others on something until you sell yourself on it. And I couldn't sell to somebody until I sold myself on it. You need to counter your own objections before you can deal honestly with other people's misgivings and objections. Additionally, I learned the importance of numbers in marketing. If I only had 5 people interested, I had to have almost a 100% success rate to make any money. If I were meeting with 25 people, I only had to succeed 20% of the time. The more my contacts increased, the less pressure I felt. I applied the concept heavily when I started the Alliance and National Agents Alliance. At NAA, we work with qualified leads generated by various ways of attracting people. The people that we talk to have contacted us first. They want to be called upon. Therefore, the discomfort that I went through with selling Amway and friends and strangers was different than what we do at National Agents Alliance, and it made National Agents Alliance, it made the Alliance really look like heaven. I was working full-time at Burlington Industries and building my Amway business at night. The company was telling us that the future of textiles was bright, and all I had to do was read the newspapers to know the disheartening truth. The North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, NAFTA, had just been passed, and the textile manufacturing will be going overseas. I knew jobs were going to be cut, and I did not want to work the 60-hour weeks that would be required just to keep my position, plants, and the business up and running. Okay, so I was praying for something to do, something that I could take to unlimited heights. Fortunately, Jane and I were now in a better position financially and personally. With her cancer in remission, we had our life back on track, and we had our first child. This was 1994. We had developed our Amway income to where Jane could quit teaching school, and I was bringing in around $40,000 a year after expenses from Amway sales, in addition to my salary at my textile job. Also, we had paid off all our debt except for our mortgage. Shickaboom, hooray! We were back to broke. The pressure of Jane continuing to work was gone. Hooray again! Jane didn't have to work if she didn't want to. Okay, so in 1997, we started making changes. I decided that it was time to quit my job. Jane and I, decided to move back home to Union Ridge, move back into my actual home that I had grew up in. This is an area where Jane and I both had grew up, and it's where we wanted to raise our children. My parents had moved out of my childhood home, which Jane and I rented from my parents. And then Jane and I started working on it and making it our home. It needed a little work, actually a lot of work, but the land it sat on drew me back to that area. My dad had always told me the land was not worth anything, but to me it was home. It was a place that I could let my kids roam, a place to keep my dogs, hopefully horses one day, and a place that I saw as a paradise. I did not have to worry about finding a job. I was going to focus solely on the continuation of the building of my Amway business that I had started. I had been frustrated with Amway, though, by the limits of the revenues that we were creating. I thought the only way that my revenues could be improved was to find a way that I could work more than 24 hours in a day, and by quitting my job, at least I got 8 more hours in a day. Jane and I were determined to find a business that would set us financially free and allow us an unlimited opportunity. We would stay up late at night, putting together ideas, writing out plans, deciding where we wanted to be in 5 or 10 years. I had friends, including Adam Katz, Alex Fitzgerald, Stacy Boydston, Stacy McNeely now, and many others that I talked with and dreamed with about doing what we would have one day and what we would be doing one day. I got involved with a lot of crazy stuff in an effort to find what we wanted. I started a coupon book business, a computer repair business. We sold breeding goats. We traveled the country selling a line of heavy equipment. It was like a ditch witch. It was a trencher type machine. All the while keeping up my Amway business. And eventually I had 13 unrelated businesses going at the same time. I was searching for something that would work. Then one day a cousin of mine told me, quote, "Andy, anyone can make $75,000 to $100,000 a year selling insurance, and I'm doing it," end quote. My cousin is a great guy, and he is now one of our great agents. This cousin, Russell Everett, I knew him well because his mom was my favorite aunt as I was a kid growing up. I figured he could help me learn how to sell insurance. I was impressed that he was making that kind of money without an innovative, systematic approach. I thought if I applied what I already knew about marketing to insurance, I could possibly even do better. So I began studying life insurance. I looked at the statistics. The baby boom generation was terrifically deficient in owning life insurance. There were millions of people who needed it and did not have it, and there still are today. I understood the need for life insurance because of what Jane and I went through with her illness and the importance of life insurance to anybody who has a family. There's a huge market out there, and it is something everyone should have. It is something they actually need if they care about their families. A good life insurance policy can save a family from poverty if something happens to the main breadwinner. So, on to finding an answer. In July of 2002, I met Philip Hudgens. Philip was a manager in life insurance marketing business, and I joined his organization or the organization that he worked for. During this time, his ideas about work, integrity, and independence were a lot like mine. One day he said to me, "I bet you think you're thinking of starting your own insurance company." I said, the idea of National Agents Alliance had begun to take shape, and it was starting to form. I was thinking, might insurance be sold in an innovative way that could provide greater leverage? And Philip agreed. 2 months later, a sharp, talented guy named Barry Clarkson joined forces with Philip and me. He brought us his own experience and the ideas to the table, and soon National Agents Alliance, or NAA, was created and up and running full force. Barry and Philip each brought different talents with them that were desperately needed to start NAA. The idea was simple. We would take a multi-tiered marketing approach into a proven business, selling mortgage protection insurance and life insurance. Also, we would do it right by generating hot leads for our agents and by teaching them how to build their own futures. Helping others was critical for us to be successful. We would teach our friends to help people protect their families, and they would build a potentially unlimited income for themselves while doing so. Our motto became, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." We started applying that principle to ourselves with respect to our agents. As I write this, it has been 11 years since the origin of National Agents Alliance, which had its beginnings in my basement. We have grown to more than 10,000 agents selling policies in all 50 states, and we're the biggest producing agency for some of the largest insurance companies worldwide. One of our goals is to achieve $1 billion in annual sales, and we are moving closer to that each and every year. NA's plan is to own its own insurance carrier and then possibly expand internationally also. I could not be a happier man. Jane has had no recurrence of her cancer. We have 2 wonderful children, Haley's 17 and Spencer's now 14, who have grown up in a paradise that Jane and I have made out of our old home place. I have achieved the financial success I dreamed about as a small boy. We have so many friends and are blessed that they have enjoyed the ride with us. God has answered many prayers, and I thank Him every day for what I've been allowed to achieve. I pray to be able to continue to help other people achieve success for a long time to come. While I am happy, I am a long way from being satisfied. I will always be striving for a better future. Work is too much fun for the company and our agents, and what we do at NAA is too rewarding to stop now or even slow down. I wake up glad to be alive, and I'm raring to go. Shicky boom is a word I use that talks about how fired up I am, shaken and excited. Shicky boom. The company National Agents Alliance, or as we call it today, the Alliance, and the 8 Steps to Success program can do the same for you. It can offer you the same as it has for me, riches monetarily and emotional richness. It really I don't know what you can compare it to. The freedom is incredible. It is a simple program and easy to understand. However, you must stick to the basics. You must follow the 8 steps. At this point, that is just a brief summary of my story, but it should be enough to get you in the ballpark of where we need to be. I'm sure one day soon I will give a much more thorough account of the whole story. For now, let's move to the major focuses of this book, which is the 8 Steps to Success, the 8 team player steps. Step 1. The 8 Steps to Success begins with integrity. If you plan to run a business that will set you free, your conscience must be clear. Trying to sell something you do not believe in is equivalent to stealing. You might have some sales and feel successful for a while, but you're going to be found out sooner or later. Besides, you're not going to be comfortable with what you are doing if that's the way you're playing it. Where is the freedom in that? There isn't any. Integrity sets you free. Personal use sets you free because you create integrity for yourself. Integrity establishes a baseline and a firm foundation for everything you do. It's like having solid goals. If you have established goals, the decisions you make come naturally because you are oriented toward your goals. You often do not even have to decide to make decisions because they're already made for you. You are just taking steps, one after another, to get to your goal. When you have integrity, you're committed to doing the right thing. The choices you need to make follow logically from this essential commitment to doing the right thing. As a business owner, integrity begins with knowing, believing, and investing in the products and services you offer. How can you expect to represent something that you do not own yourself? Also, how can you expect someone else to believe in the company if you don't believe in it? Being part of an organization requires participation. Participation means buying in, literally, to the business. It means owning the product you are selling. Why? First of all, you need to know the product you're selling. You can only do this effectively by selling the product to yourself. If the product is not good enough for you and your family, you're never going to be comfortable selling it to someone else. You must decide which policy best suits your family's needs and buy it before you start selling. Don't tell yourself you will make some commissions first and then buy a policy. That is like a football player telling his coach he wants to play a few games before he decides whether or not he wants to bother learning the playbook. Being a team player or being a team member in your organization requires you to learn the playbook from the start. You should know the product you're representing. You should practice selling your company's products and services on yourself and with your family. After doing this, you will be able to gain credibility with your customers. Your belief in your product will show. Now, why do you fight you? You may get it in your head that you can wait until you start making money to buy organizations, products, and services. Unfortunately, business does not work this way. Selling requires commitment. The very act of studying a product, learning enough about it to convince yourself that a product is a good one, should lead first to selling the product to yourself, and only then to selling the products to others. You can show commitment to your organization's products and services by buying them yourself. You can then convince others of its benefits. Would you purchase an annuity or a life insurance policy from an agent who did not own a policy himself? Would you trust this agent? Would you trust the organization? Make your organization a part of your life, and then you will have no trouble convincing other individuals of its benefit. I remember as a kid hearing that Coca-Cola Company would fire any employee that it caught drinking another company's product. Any Coke employee that secretly preferred Pepsi and actually spent money on it, I thought ought to be fired. Whether it was true or not, it made sense to me even as a young boy. I believed that if you worked for Coca-Cola, then by all means you should drink Coca-Cola. Being loyal to your own product indicates belief in that product. You should buy and use whatever product you sell, whether it is soft drinks, cars, vitamins, juice, or life insurance. If you cannot bring yourself to buy your own product, you should be selling something else. If you cannot sell yourself on a product, how are you going to sell anybody else? You absolutely must find a product that you can support wholeheartedly. For instance, I am an NC State fan. I love the Wolfpack. When I was in high school, I made a decision to apply to NC State because I believed in the type of education the school had to offer. I knew that believing in becoming totally loyal to NC State would help me find my niche and would also help me experience success. Now, NC State is a vital part of who I am. It is an integral part of my life. For that reason, I always feel comfortable praising the institution to others. In the same way, I hope that you are sold on your college, on your business, or on your product. I hope you believe in your product. When you believe in your product, you will find it feels natural to be a walking advertisement for it. If you want to sleep well at night, you have to feel good about what you're doing in the daytime. I cannot live any other way and stay sane, and I doubt you could either. I like working with people who have integrity and enthusiasm about their good or their product. Who would want peace through integrity rather than misery through dishonesty? A person with integrity and belief cannot sell a poor product, or at least not for a long term. A poor product will not find an honest salesman to keep it on the market for long. Our product at National Agents Alliance is life insurance and annuities. How successful do you think our people would be if they did not understand the value of owning a life insurance policy or an annuity? What if our people did not believe they were promoting a product that would pay off? How well would they sleep at night? What if our agents believed that life insurance was a bad deal and that you are better off saving your money and investing it in something else? If I believed that, the last thing I would do would be to buy a policy on myself. However, I know the value of life insurance policy for anybody with a family. I know it is the surest and most economical way to ensure a family will be taken care of in the event something happens to the primary income earner. When my wife was diagnosed with cancer, I received a quick lesson in the uncertainty of life. I was able to understand very clearly how tough life could be for a person who lost his or her partner and how difficult it would be to provide for housing and the children's education. When we have sales meetings, I often ask our top producers to stand. Then I ask all those present who own insurance policies, the same insurance products that they sell. I ask them to stay standing. Without fail, the top producers all own their own policies. Many own multiple policies and annuity products. Okay, let's go a little deeper into why knowing, believing, and investing in your product is so important. All sales begin with emotion. People make up their minds based on their feelings, and then they back their decisions with logic. If you understand emotionally what it is like to buy our product, then you will see the logic in owning a policy to protect your family. Once your emotions are stirred and the logic of protecting families becomes clear, then you will catch fire as a salesperson. Knowing, believing, and investing in your own product establishes a baseline of integrity and fulfills step 1. By doing so, you will gather momentum for step 2, step 3, right up through step 8. Okay, so a case in point. Pam Moore is a top producer with the Alliance. The first thing she did is buy a policy on herself for the benefit of her granddaughter. As a matter of fact, the biggest reason she got started with us was thinking about her granddaughter and a medical condition she has. It gets her very emotional. Pam has went on to buy other policies for her family and to sell multiple insurance policies for her family, and also several annuity products. Pam Moore always stands up as a top producer. By selling to herself, she realized the benefits of these products have on her own family, and she learned many other ways they can be of help to her family and other families in different circumstances. She has become creative in finding ways to sell and promote the products to others as well as herself. By understanding her product through personal use, she can make sales in many ways she otherwise would not have been able to make. Another case, Mark Womack, another lifelong friend, is with the Alliance. He bought a policy for himself, and then he immediately turned to his father as his next customer. His father had never owned life insurance, and Mark knew his mother deserved the protection his father could provide with a policy. It took him an entire year to convince his dad to buy a policy, and it took him another half a year to get him to buy another policy. Unfortunately, 3 years later, his father suddenly passed away. Because this agent, Mr. Mark Womack, did not give up on making sure someone he loved was covered with life insurance, his mother is now taken care of financially. If you ever get a chance to hear Mark Womack talk about the benefits of life insurance and what it has provided to his immediate family, he will bring tears to your eyes, and you will feel more passionate about covering your own family first before you go on to cover hundreds and then thousands of other lives with coverage. Do it now. Great salespeople have a sense of urgency about what they do because they want their customers to enjoy the benefits of their products immediately. They are driven to succeed as soon as possible because they realize there is no such thing as a practiced life. The life you're living now is the real thing. It is not a warm-up. Make the most of it now for both you and your customers. Sheikh Mohammed bin Sarid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, was asked if he was developing Dubai waterfront as a personal legacy or as a gift to his country. The development will extend Dubai's coastline 492 miles, or approximately 12 times its current length, making it larger than Manhattan and twice the size of Hong Kong. The sheikh replied that he was doing it for the people of Dubai. It would create millions of dollars in revenue and provide opportunities for the people of Dubai. When asked why he was in such a hurry to complete the project, he said that he wanted his people to enjoy it now. The opportunities would not be there for the people until the project was complete. He wanted them to be able to reap the benefits immediately. Now is the key word to remember. Mark Womack's father waited a year and a half to buy all the policies that he owned when he passed away. He could have waited longer. What if he had? What if he had waited much longer? More to the point, Mark Womack could have let him wait a little bit longer. If Mark had not believed in his product, he would not have been so persistent. If he had not sold a policy to himself, his father more than likely would not have purchased one either. Please do not wait. You should reap the rewards of today, not tomorrow. We like to call step number 1 your first commitment, and it really is a commitment to yourself. After all, the best client in your life is yourself. If you can overcome your own objections, then you can overcome anybody's objections. However, if you start by listening to your own objections and talk yourself out of owning your own products, you will become accustomed to talking others into not buying their products. You must make your business personal, and you must do it now. Chapter 3. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. That's by Helen Keller. Unique model solves situation. After years of pushing to make changes in my life and in the various businesses I was involved in, it finally occurred to me that I had the vehicle in front of me to transform my family's life and the lives of others. Now, it didn't happen overnight. It took me trying everything I could think of and spending long days and long nights holed up in my basement, scratching out ideas on sheets of white paper. It was all that white sheeting, as I like to call it, that led to the birth of the Alliance in 2002. Starting a new business can be a daunting task. There were moments when I wasn't sure how big it would be or if we would even be around today. But I blocked those thoughts out and kept pressing to make it work. People around me certainly questioned what I was doing, but I did not care. I was going to build a successful company, and it was going to be a part of my legacy. Over the years, a series of promotions were created and implemented to help show people that joined our team how they could earn promotions. As of 2017, we have 16 levels that are a guide for how you can move up in our company. We did this because it created a clear and simple organizational chart that's easy to understand whether you are a new agent or a veteran manager with the Alliance. There are some people that wanted to keep things the same as we grew, and I knew we had to be open to change and show them this was the best for us to move forward. I knew that we were not going to be a stuffy, old-school insurance company. Our meetings were not going to be boring, filled with pie charts, facts, and figures that would put people to sleep. We were going to attract new agents by being different, by being fun, and being a place where people would feel welcome. The result was the Alliance as it is known today. We ain't your granddaddy's insurance company. I'd seen other marketing organizations, and I wanted us to be better. Major investments were made in corporate staff, infrastructure, and technology to make us who we are today. Why did I do this? I saw the world changing fast. The entire insurance industry needed a makeover, and I knew attracting the best people would mean investing in every possible way so that we stayed on the cutting edge in a fast-paced world that was not going to slow down. Another major investment was creating an educational system that would prepare our agents to be able to explain how our products work for clients when they were meeting in people's homes. People appreciate you explaining how a product will help them if you do it in a fun way and show them how the product will benefit them. The result was Alliance University, a curriculum that effectively educates our agent force and teaches them how to show clients the value of products we offer. All of these investments were important cogs in the machine we've built to succeed in the insurance industry. We have built a vehicle for success. We just need to find people who can use all the resources we have to offer to help families across the United States. People in America don't save enough for retirement. Many are in debt, have loans to pay off for school or mortgages, credit cards, etc. They're hardworking people that maybe just need a little help to understand how to change their situation or even get back to broke again. That means they ain't got a lot of money, but they're not deep in debt. When you spend more than you save, debt becomes normal life. It doesn't have to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. Too many people go to work because they have no choice. I want to help people make sure they never run out of money before they run out of month. Even people who have plenty of money make the mistake of putting it into savings accounts that pay little in terms of interest. Others invest in risky propositions or buy stocks based on the recommendation of friends and family who don't really know what they're talking about. As life insurance goes, the majority of people don't have enough coverage. Some don't have any at all, which does not make any sense to me. I've always believed in life insurance, even before I acquired my license. I've seen too many families destroyed because they lack coverage. When a breadwinner dies without proper coverage, a lot of times the family never recovers. This is sad to me. It's part of my mission to eliminate this scenario from as many families as possible. Life insurance is absolutely affordable for most families, and that's why it drives me nuts to hear a person say they don't have any. The cost to cover a family is probably less than what they spend on a lunch or coffee weekly. Many of the people without coverage don't even realize how affordable insurance can be. We all know a person that lacks insurance, but that can hit the bar for drinks every Friday and Saturday night. We all know a person that can afford to buy a new car and make payments for 60 months, but doesn't bother to buy life insurance. They know how to make things fit their budget, but they don't know a thing about whole life, term life, universal life, or index universal life. How can you afford a shot at the bar or a brand new car, but not know how to choose an insurance policy that you know that you need? Seems crazy to me. Disaster waiting to happen. People without proper insurance coverage are like a bomb waiting to explode. The fuse is lit and it is slowly burning down toward detonation. Most people will tell you how important their family is to them, but when you don't have insurance, is that really true? You're basically saying, I don't need it because I won't die. I know that everybody's going to die. Not making sure your family will be taken care of before it happens is like planting a bomb that will certainly send shockwaves to your loved ones when you die. My job is to spread the word so this doesn't happen to your family. I encourage strong, sound investments in products we sell because I believe in them and have many policies on myself and my family. I know how important they become when they are needed, so I practice personal use by buying the very products that we sell to our clients. At a time when so many people need coverage, another interesting thing is happening. The number of insurance agents retiring is not being replaced by new, younger, up-and-coming agents. The life insurance industry is shrinking, and policy sales are declining as a whole. There are not enough agents to meet with all the clients that need coverage. The Alliance wants to change that trend. Filling the agent and client void. A study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that normal growth and turnover, half of the agent force will be nearing retirement before 2025. There will be a need for 500,000 agents by 2022. If the insurance industry, as we used to know it, were doing its job, this would not be happening. That's why the Alliance is here. We're here to help fill the void by helping people get the coverage they need and by helping fill the agent void that is growing every year as people reach retirement age. The thought was to hire full-time agents to sell insurance. We think that's okay, but we are fine with people who only want to sell insurance on a part-time basis. Your knowledge of insurance isn't a requirement because we have a team in place that can train you. We have resources for every possible scenario you might face when meeting with a client. Our focus is on teaching people to sell, recruiting new agents, and helping find other people who want to sell and recruit new agents. That's what we do. We sell, we recruit, and we build. We are still in the insurance industry with carriers that have been around seemingly forever. We have a systematic approach to what we do. We still deliver insurance to clients. We meet them at their needs, and we provide great quality service. What we have put together since 2002 is a solid business plan, an amazing marketing system, and a way for people to, quote, have fun, make money, and make a difference. Quote, if that doesn't sound appealing, then we are probably not the right fit for you. Things have changed a lot since I started working out of my basement, and it's only going to get better as we move forward. I like to say the alliance is getting gooder and gooder from this point on. The future starts today. We're going to keep helping protect families while being compensated for it. We're going to keep having as much fun doing it as possible. We're also going to continue making a difference in a positive way around the globe. Does that sound like something that interests you? If so, here we go. The potential is limitless for you, and we are ready to blow up like Mount Fuji. Is that really true? You're basically saying, I don't need it because I won't die. I know that everybody's going to die. Not making sure your family will be taken care of before it happens is like planting a bomb that will certainly send shockwaves to your loved ones when you die. My job is to spread the word so this doesn't happen to your family. I encourage strong, sound investments in products we sell because I believe in them and have many policies on myself and my family. I know how important they become when they are needed, so I practice personal use by buying the very products that we sell to our clients. At a time when so many people need coverage, another interesting thing is happening. The number of insurance agents retiring is not being replaced by new, younger, up-and-coming agents. The life insurance industry is shrinking, and policy sales are declining as a whole. There are not enough agents to meet with all the clients that need coverage. The Alliance wants to change that trend. Filling the agent and client void. A study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that normal growth and turnover, half of the agent force will be nearing retirement before 2025. There will be a need for 500,000 agents by 2022. If the insurance industry, as we used to know it, were doing its job, this would not be happening. That's why the Alliance is here. We're here to help fill the void by helping people get the coverage they need and by helping fill the agent void that is growing every year as people reach retirement age. The thought was to hire full-time agents to sell insurance. We think that's okay, but we are fine with people who only want to sell insurance on a part-time basis. Your knowledge of insurance isn't a requirement because we have a team in place that can train you. We have resources for every possible scenario you might face when meeting with a client. Our focus is on teaching people to sell, recruiting new agents, and helping find other people who want to sell and recruit new agents. That's what we do. We sell, we recruit, and we build. We are still in the insurance industry with carriers that have been around seemingly forever. We have a systematic approach to what we do. We still deliver insurance to clients, we meet them at their needs, and we provide great quality service. What we have put together since 2002 is a solid business plan, an amazing marketing system, and a way for people to, quote, have fun, make money, and make a difference, quote. If that doesn't sound appealing, then we are probably not the right fit for you. Things have changed a lot since I started working out of my basement, and it's only going to get better as we move forward. I like to say the Alliance is getting gooder and gooder from this point on. The future starts today. We're going to keep helping protect families while being compensated for for it. We're going to keep having as much fun doing it as possible. We're also going to continue making a difference in a positive way around the globe. Does that sound like something that interests you? If so, here we go. The potential is limitless for you, and we are ready to blow up like Mount Fuji. Is that really true? You're basically saying, I don't need it because I won't die. I know that everybody's going to die. Not making sure your family will be taken care of before it happens is like planting a bomb that will certainly send shockwaves to your loved ones when you die. My job is to spread the word so this doesn't happen to your family. I encourage strong, sound investments in products we sell because I believe in them and have many policies on myself and my family. I know how important they become when they are needed, so I practice personal use by buying the very products that we sell to our clients. At a time when so many people need coverage, another interesting thing is happening. The number of insurance agents retiring is not being replaced by new, younger, up-and-coming agents. The life insurance industry is shrinking, and policy sales are declining as a whole. There are not enough agents to meet with all the clients that need coverage. The Alliance wants to change that trend. Filling the agent and client void. A study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that normal growth and turnover, half of the agent force will be nearing retirement before 2025. There will be a need for 500,000 agents by 2022. If the insurance industry, as we used to know it, were doing its job, this would not be happening. That's why the Alliance is here. We're here to help fill the void by helping people get the coverage they need and by helping fill the agent void that is growing every year as people reach retirement age. The thought was to hire full-time agents to sell insurance. We think that's okay, but we are fine with people who only want to sell insurance on a part-time basis. Your knowledge of insurance isn't a requirement because we have a team in place that can train you. We have resources for every possible scenario you might face when meeting with a client. Our focus is on teaching people to sell, recruiting new agents, and helping find other people who want to sell and recruit new agents. That's what we do. We sell, we recruit, and we build. We are still in the insurance industry with carriers that have been around seemingly forever. We have a systematic... Okay, step 2 we call work. Work requires putting forth effort. It requires staying focused and staying motivated to obtain your goals. We have all looked through magazines dreaming of what fabulous vacation home or driving around in a sporty car would be like. Motivation comes from wants and desires. Otherwise, we would be content to stay where we are in life. What an individual wants typically dictates his drive and his motivation. The Robb Report, R-O-B-B, the Robb Report, is a great publication if you want to see global luxury items. Be sure to check it out online at robbreport.com. John Maxwell is a best-selling author and leadership expert. He states that an individual must overcome deficiencies or problems in order to attain motivation. How is this accomplished? You should gather momentum by taking whatever initial steps are possible. Then you may formulate your plan of attack by clearly stating your objectives and compressing your focus. Do you want that dream vacation home in 5 to 10 years? Do you want that sporty Jaguar in a year or in 6 months? How about just getting out of debt? Setting weekly goals rather than yearly goals will allow you to reach your destination in less time. Bear down to make the time go down. Only work will get you to your goals. Another favorite John Maxwell saying of mine is, the furthest point between here and success is a shortcut. Maxwell said this in 2009. Let me tell you this, do not try to take shortcuts. That's the furthest way to go. Simply work. Now, work smart. The first step in establishing a routine is to make a commitment. Set a date and make it happen. Many individuals want to succeed, but they fail because they lack desire. Work is a physical or intellectual effort directed to an end. Men and women are designed for work, and other than glorifying God, it is our main purpose. King Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, tells us this: a man can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in his work. This too, I see, is from the hand of God. That's out of Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and the 24th verse, and that is from the New International Version. You should not be afraid of work. Work is the constant in the achievement of every goal. The effectiveness of one's work and the amount of time it takes to reach the goal are the variables. Some people work and get things done, while others work and get very little done. It is important to understand the difference. One famous Amway speaker always says this: trust only motion. Never trust only talk. His name's Greg Duncan. You must decide what things you can do to become profitable. Once you have made up your mind and set out to accomplish a list of objectives, how do you accomplish this? What plan of attack will ensure these objectives will be met? How will you expand your efforts? Slowly and gradually over time, in repeated bursts of grinding it out hour after hour? Your plan of attack will determine whether you have a balanced or unbalanced lifestyle. Having a balanced lifestyle achieved over time is the only way to have true freedom, no matter how much money you make. Consider what would happen if you were to work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week at home. What an unhappy home life you would have. Your wife and family would be denied your time and attention, and they would be more than likely unhappy. Now consider yourself working 20 hours a day, but for 3 days a week, totally away from home. You will have a tendency to be more focused for those concentrated periods of times, lending yourself to be more productive and effective. This would still leave you plenty of time for your family and other pursuits on those other days. Bursts of concentrated effort are often the way to sell most efficiently. A successful sales agent may work only 2 or 3 days a week selling. These individuals are very organized and do something else with their lives on the other days. John Maxwell quoted his father as saying this: figure out what you're good at and do that. People will call you unbalanced, that's true, and that is what you are. You ain't worth a crap at many things, so you need to be really good at what you are good at. In doing this, your life will only be unbalanced, and on the days that you are working hard, but more balanced in general. You should learn how to work smarter and how to be productive. In building an organization, teaching individuals to work smarter is one key to being successful. Many people think they are working smart when actually they are just doing busy work. Or, better yet, busy doing things that are non-productive. Below are 4 basic components of working effectively while building your organization. Number 1, make a list. The first thing you must do is to establish a list of contacts that you will call. Include first and last names with a telephone number. Specify how you know the individual. For example, are they a friend or relative? Are they an acquaintance from some business you're familiar with? Number 2, prioritize your list. Learn to prioritize individuals in establishing a call list. Which 10 people do you want to call first? Which 10 are you most afraid to call? Which 10 people are the most successful? Find ways to categorize the list by dividing it into sections and classifying each type of person. Next, Call the people on the list. First, call the 10 people that you're most hesitant about calling. Call them first to get them out of your way. You should start with your hardest sale and move backwards. The crazy thing is, you may recruit the great person that you thought would be the least interested. Keep your records. Keep a list of the day and the time of every call. When you follow up, you can tell the prospective client that your call is regarding last Thursday afternoon's telephone conversation. Record keeping is critical. It provides accountability for you. Now, work requires a commitment, following the program and adapting it to your plan of attack. During your intensive work periods, you should be methodical and keep track of your activity. This requires monitoring your checklist in order to measure your performance. Monitoring your performance is like having a doctor look at your temperature, blood pressure, height, and weight. By taking your vital signs, the doctor can evaluate your problem and help you. Otherwise, you may look healthy other than the vital signs. The vital signs help you diagnose or help the doctor diagnose why you're sick or dying. In business, your vitals are your checklist and your records. They help determine if you are sick and dying or if you are alive and thriving. Like your medical patient file, your records must be maintained. They should be reviewed in order to be of any assistance. Reviewing your files allows you to grow. Your records are your proof that you have worked. Show me your calendar or your work records, and I can predict what your income will be in the next 3 to 5 years. On diagnosing yourself based on your records. One simple method of self-diagnosis is to keep a log of your activity. Set up a book that records your daily and weekly activity. Then record your number of telephone calls, contacts, appointments, and sales. At the end of each day, look at your activity. At the end of each week, evaluate your work. At the end of each year, chart your growth. I created a book called the Nactivity Book. That is Naactivity. It is a book for all of the Alliance's agents. It is the most effective, yet is the simplest way to measure your work, your effectiveness, and it is a prediction of your future success. Every one of our agents use this book every month, and they provide one to every agent they hire. Each new agent, in turn, provides one for a new agent that they hire. The best feature of the booklet is that all proceeds go to a charity, typically the Children's Miracle Network, sometimes Duke Children's Hospital. The following is an example of an activity log for a sales agent. Basically, you record your number of phone calls each day, how many times people said hello, we call those contacts, and the number of appointments that you set up with clients, and then ultimately the number of sales. That is the activities that you want to track in your National Agents Alliance involvement. That's what we call it NAA activity or Nactivity. Any successful, growing, profitable agent in our organization can diagnose and prescribe action based on this simple chart. If you have only a few phone calls, well, that tells you that you have poor work habits, or you have small dreams and you're not willing to make a lot of phone calls. How about this? Good number of calls, but very few appointments. Well, that means you apparently are doing a good job making phone calls, but you lack urgency or you lack phone skills, or you would have a higher number of appointments. What if you have a good number of appointments, but you have only a few sales? Probably you have a poor in-person closing skills or a lack of urgency. How about this? High number of phone calls, high number of appointments, high number of sales. Means you're making a ton of money. Well, what is that diagnosis? Dreams are going to come true. That's where that points you. Whether your profession is in sales or another line of business, the principles are the same. You should monitor and control your work habits. Monitoring your own work habits keeps you accountable to yourself. Agents monitor their daily activity with an activity book. It is available at shop@naa.com. Business is very much like dialing the combination to a safe. You must turn the dial in a specific direction and stop on a specific number in order for the safe to open. Only the correct combination will unlock the safe's rewards. By focusing your work schedule on aspects you can control, such as having the correct combination and then working more efficiently, ultimately you will become more effective. If you are not working effectively, change what you're doing. When I used to fish with my dad, there would be times when the fish were not biting. Dad would tell me, "You're not holding your mouth right." His point was that he did not care what I changed about what I was doing while I was fishing. He just wanted to point out that what I was doing was not working. He thought I should change something, even if it was just the way that I was holding my mouth. I always thought that was funny or crazy, but he had a point. Change something. You must understand that if what you're doing is not working, you must be doing something wrong. Maybe it's holding your mouth wrong. Change something, please. Our top coaches and leaders can listen to an ineffective call and diagnose all kinds of errors that might need to be corrected. If people are not answering your calls, change the time of day you're making phone calls, change the day of the week, whatever, but change something. Okay, line up to fire up. Some people are very organized. Their files are neatly colored and coded and alphabetically organized. This is great, but it does not pay the bills. In business, you are paid on what is done and what gets out the door. This is why it's important to focus your efforts on items that you can control, such as your attitude, your work ethic, and your character. Then get out there and get to work. How about this one? Dogs in the hunt. One of my favorite memories as a kid was hunting with my dad. He raised beagles for rabbit hunting. He never talked about how his dogs hunted for pleasure. What he talked about was how they loved to work. All rabbit hunters and bird hunters use that same terminology when they're talking about their dogs. They all say they love to, quote, watch them work, end quote. Most pleasurable part of quail hunting experience is the bird dogs. They are trained to locate and retrieve the quail. The pleasure is not so much in hunting the birds as it is watching the dogs work. A well-trained dog, bred with the keen instincts of finding, pointing, and retrieving birds, is a beautiful thing to watch. They are single-minded. They are focused. It is what they were born to do, what they're trained to do, and it is what they do well. When hunting dogs are turned loose, briar bushes do not bother them. The heat don't bother them. The cold don't bother them. They are just focused on the hunt, focused on their work. Their work is, in fact, their reward. I have heard old men say in fields many times, "Man, I love to watch 'em work." Then their next words always seem to be, "You can tell how much them dogs enjoy it." A favorite saying of mine is, "A dog in a hunt ain't got no fleas." When a bird dog or a rabbit dog works, they are aware of nothing else. The same dog in his kennel, if he has fleas, will let them bother him. He'll sit there and scratch and whine and complain. However, the same flea-ridden dog does not know fleas exist when he is in the hunt. He is that focused. Find work that you can put yourself into, work that you can enjoy. Then focus and achieve. Being hard at work can focus your mind, similar to when you are frightened. If you're threatened and you're scared, you can accomplish anything because of the adrenaline. When in danger, you're so focused nothing exists except getting to safety. If your life is at stake, you will run through a plate glass window, jump from a tall building, anything without giving it a thought. Focused on work can be similar. It can have a similar effect. Focused on work is exciting, like adrenaline pumping fear. Like adrenaline, you can set your spirit free. A man in touch with the work he is designed to do is like a dog in the hunt. He can accomplish his goals if he enjoys doing it. and he does not realize, think about, worry about, or scratch those fleas. Get up in there. That's what my daddy used to tell me. He said, you've got to get up in there, boy. I would be playing a Little League baseball, and my mind would not be on the game, or I would be fearful or shy about being at bat. He would yell to me, get up in there, boy. It's the same way he would talk to Molly, which was one of our beagles, if she was nervous about going into the briar patch after a rabbit. He'd say, get up in there. It's something I now say to an agent who's nervous about making calls or closing deals. I say simply, get up in there, man. Just go for it. That's the big deal. Okay, having a goal. Here's the last thing my father would say that was helpful to remember. When you're standing around is when you will get in trouble. To me, that means when you're not working toward a goal, you have a tendency to procrastinate, to be lazy, to be complacent, and in other words, get in trouble. A lot of times when you're not working toward a goal, it's because of fear. There is a certain fear in selling. There is a fear of rejection or of losing a sale when you badly need the money. There is a fear of not being liked or of insulting someone. Those fears have to be put aside in order to get started, to make a phone call or to ask for the sale. We have sales agents who are doctors, college professors, and attorneys. I will talk to them the same way as I do any other agent in our organization. I tell them, get up in there. I will even put a phone receiver in their hand and tell them to do this with the other hand. I will make the motion of dialing the phone. Sometimes getting people to work is a sales job in itself. Just taking them through the simple process, picking up the phone, making the dials. Work is an outward sign of your faith. People have some spiritual beliefs, and I often ask them, do you have faith in your religion? If you have faith in your action, in your religion, you will act on it, correct? In the same way, do you believe that dialing numbers will get you appointments? They will always say, well, yeah, I do, but, ... This brings up my billy goat saying of don't but me. The word but really bothers me. Do you have faith or do you not? Should you make the phone calls or not? If the answer is yes, then you do not need to, quote, but me. People all too often allow their buts to get in the way of their success. In other words, get off of it and do something. Quit giving me the butt, just like a billy goat. Another great question to ask is, are some results, any results, better than no results? Well, what about bad results, you might ask? What bad can result from making a call, from making an effort? Well, you could offend someone and you could fail to get a sale. However, not making the call guarantees you will not have a positive result. It's a guarantee of failure, not making the phone call, that is. Sometimes I will tell people to make a certain number of calls just to help me out with reaching a goal of a number of calls made on our team. My purpose is just to get them started. People love to help others out, and it can be easy for them to start off by thinking they're helping out, which in fact they are. If they believe what they're doing is helping me and helping the team, then they will tend to do it. In the same way, they will overcome a fear of selling once they believe that owning life insurance policy helps people, then they're more willing to overcome fear if they believe they're helping. Then I'll say to people, please don't worry about having good results. I simply want them to engage in the activity without worrying about the results. Just getting started. Dial the phone. With enough activity, a salesperson will get a certain number of appointments. Once an appointment is set, that salesperson will follow through because going to the appointment is a lot easier than getting the appointment. Hard work made easy. I believe in working hard to work easy. Making 100 calls to get 10 appointments is the hard part. Once you've done the hard part, get to the appointments is easy. Once at the appointment, making the sales is even easier if you believe in what you're selling and if you know the person you're selling to will benefit from the purchase. It's all work, but it doesn't all have to be hard. Work produces results, which is why the work itself is important. Work can also produce effectiveness if you are consistent and learn from your efforts. Work, therefore, can be its own reward. When I was a kid, my father always seemed to have me cutting and splitting firewood. Not one of my favorite things to do. There's an old saying, though, that chopping firewood warms you twice. Even if someone were to steal your firewood, you have already warmed yourself up by doing the work of chopping. So work in itself is a reward in that case. Lack of clarity leads to lack of activity. That's why I don't like to give people 3 different things to do. No matter who you are, I try to ask you to only do one thing at a time. Some people are impatient and they want to know, what do I do next? And I will tell them, just wait until they have done the one thing first. Sometimes they get angry because they think that I think that they are not capable of doing more than one thing. So they do the one thing as I challenged to get me to tell them to do the next. It creates an emotion, and emotion creates the activity. You see, I have a crazy faith that activity produces results. Because I remember starting out on one day, upside down, naked and screaming, trying to sell the doctor on the fact that I could breathe and that he could quit beating my bottom, which worked. It proved my point. Start screaming, do something. He stopped beating on me. Sometimes we're selling and we don't even realize it. Just do something. But work takes practice. Work that produces results must become routine. The more practiced you become at something, the better you get at it. When we played basketball as kids on our old concrete court at home, we put together a victorious playbook by using the same strategic one game-winning play over and over. We developed a play that worked, and we would concentrate on that play until we could just crush opponents with it. Our goal was never to be entertaining. Our goal was to get results. We were never ashamed to run the same play over and over again. We were not hope for a good game people. We were hope for a win people, a crushing win. Staying with what we found that worked and learning to perfect it brought the same results we were ultimately after, victories, wins. Then we could laugh it up and entertain ourselves later on. We would be bored with the victory while doing the same work over and over again, but have fun later. So I am talking about using a certain formula with the work, just as 8 steps is with a formula. I'm trying to get you to experience successful work habits without having to learn them for yourself. Like I tell people, you do not have to jump off a building to find out it is going to hurt. Likewise, you do not have to go out and try 1,000 ways of working to find out that way gets results. You do not have to believe everything I'm telling you in this book, but I'm telling you it is a proven fact. Just act like you believe it and do it. After you see it working, then you will believe it. Doing what I'm teaching produces activity, and activity produces what? It produces results. That is correct. Commitment to continuity builds mental stability. What I mean by this is, if you're trying to stay mentally focused on whatever you're doing, remain consistently active. If you're consistent in your work habits, you will create mental work stability. As Vincent Lombardi said, the harder we work, the harder it is for us to surrender. Just like our pickup playground playing basketball team, the harder you work, the better you get. Going easy does not make for good results, but once you have established effective work habits, working does not have to be hard. Through consistent work, you can learn to have an effective work level in a short period of time. Working effectively and staying balanced. The guy I mentioned earlier in the book, buying his own policy or selling a policy to his own dad, is Mark Womack. He is a man in our organization who has found his effective work level. He began in the insurance industry by working very hard, and he learned to work very effectively. He was licensed in about 6 days, and he worked really hard to create a six-figure income. Once he had his methods polished, he was able to lessen the number of days he worked in a week and still maintain his income. He watched more television than any man I have ever known, but he was consistent in his work habits. When he worked, and when he worked every week using consistent methods that yielded results. You do need to be balanced. Some people put in 80-hour work weeks. I have no problem with that if that is what you need to do to get to where you want to be. My point is, though, that while you're working your 80 hours, you need to be learning to work effectively. Then if you have learned to work effectively, you should be able to cut back. You have to have the kind of balanced life I've talked about earlier to have any freedom. You need time for your family, hobbies, travel, personal development, and basic living. Life is for living. Sometimes an effective worker can change patterns and move to a higher level. Mark Womack worked for a 2 or 3 day work week and watched television for about 6 years. Then one day, he was in my office reading his personal biography and hung on the wall in our office with his picture on it. He started getting very emotional and actually getting sweaty eyes. He realized how much my team and I had helped him with his success and realized he had not done the same for anybody else. That very day, he started working a different program. And for the last 2 years, he has led the most consistently growing alliance team in the United States, helping hundreds of others achieve their goals. He has been steady in building his team and helping others. You see, Mark has set a higher goal for himself. He is now working 5 or 6 days a week because he wants to, and he gives heavily to charities that he believes in because he wants to give back. His higher level of commitment has given him the ability and the reward. Another individual that started out just selling a little bit is Shawn Mike. Shawn Mike started out just as a salesperson, but soon realized that he could help multiple people create the identical six-figure income that he had. Then he started to realize he could take his six-figure income into a seven-figure income if he helped enough people become successful. A unique thing about Shawn Mike is that he continues to create a personal six-figure or multiple six-figure income just by selling, and he works just as hard to let people build their own organizations underneath him also. Don't just sit around. I will end this section with a story. You may have heard of Larry Walters from back in the summer of 1982. Larry, a 33-year-old Los Angeles man, bought a 45 helium balloon set from a local Army-Navy surplus store. He secured himself in a lawn chair, loaded up a 6-pack of beer. He got himself a camera and a pellet gun, which he planned to use to pop a few of the balloons when it was time to descend. He hopped on board his lawn chair, harnessed to these balloons. His plan was to float about 30 feet above his backyard and come down in a few hours. He ended up floating up to an altitude of over 11,000 feet into Los Angeles airspace. An incoming airline pilot radioed to the tower and described seeing a man in the lawn chair. I have since learned that one of these pilots is one of our agents who actually saw Larry in the air and was rerouted. After 14 hours in the air, Larry came back down. When he was asked why he did it, he stated that sometimes a man could not just sit around. This story was verified by Urban Legends television show in 2005. Successful workers are like Mark Womack, Shawn Mike, and Larry Walters, and my daddy's bird dogs. They cannot just sit around, and they can't wait for success to come find them. They have to get up in there. They have to go out and work to find it. They get pleasure in their work, to find thrills in obtaining their goals. Excitement, conviction, and execution are the name of the game. By putting forth effort, they see results. In chapter 3 on listen, it begins like this. Many ideas are communicated only when the listener pays attention to more than just the words that are spoken. Good communication is achieved only when people use their eyes, their ears, and their minds. Good communication requires us to become active listeners. Successful individuals are active listeners. They listen to what their partners are telling them. They listen to what customers are really saying, and they pay attention to what other successful people are doing. They are successful because they stay actively involved in listening. They absorb information both through the words they hear and the speaker's body language. And one of those Greek people said this. He said, God gave man 2 ears, but only 1 mouth, that he might hear twice as much as he speaks. It's good advice. Okay, listening to learn. Active listening is an important key to knowing your customer. And good listening skills usually have to be cultivated. Even very intelligent people have poor listening skills by nature. Being a good listener is a rare aptitude, but with a little practice, it can be learned by anyone. Our culture, with all of its noise, inhibits listening, which makes the practice of active listening all that more important. Okay, if you have kids, just try walking through the room when they're watching television. They will not even know you are there. You have to stand in front of them to get their attention. They are actively listening to the TV and not actively listening to you. So how do we learn to listen in business context? Listen is a verb which indicates activity and action. So now you ask, what action is involved in listening? There is no action. My ears just automatically operate. That's what you say. But that's not true. Listening requires mental and sometimes physical activity. For example, imagine that I'm talking to you. You're taking notes. When you take notes, you both hear and see. You're listening to the words I'm saying with your eyes as well as with your ears. You're looking at me. That's very important. Listening occurs with your eyes also. Studies have shown how much meaningful information is conveyed through body language. When we talk about being a good listener, we're also talking about being a good communicator as well. Because when you listen, you should be translating for yourself the meaning of what you're hearing by putting it into your own words. You have to actively engage in what is being communicated to know what you are really being told. Suppose a potential customer is talking to you. Is the look on his face in agreement with your words? Or does his or her facial expression tell a different story? Be sure you know, or you may miss the truth. If you miss the truth, you may miss the sale. Listen to understand. The book of Proverbs in the Bible has so much wisdom in it. I call it the book within the book. To me, the proverb of Proverbs is this: seek first to understand. In understanding people, for example, your customers, you have to put aside your own ego, your wants, and your desires. If you walk into someone's house worrying about making a sale, or if you're worrying out of fear, it won't work. However, if you forget your fears and go into the home with a true desire to help, your empathy level increases, your interest level increases, and you listen and you learn about them and who they are. If you go into someone's home and lead with your heart and you really care about that person that you are meeting, then the fear will evaporate. You are now trying to understand the way the other person thinks rather than trying to change the way he thinks. Your customer gets to stay within his comfort zone and does not feel challenged. A comfortable customer often pursues the sale. He will chase you. Listening is an art that must be learned. It takes time and concentration. Some of us are better at it than others. Learn to listen to your mentors and your customers because they both have a wealth of knowledge that is constructive and it's free. Furthermore, doing so sends the message that you are eager to learn and that you are looking for any advice that they can pass on your way. It shows your customers that you have a genuine concern for their welfare. Below are a few simple rules to follow when listening. Number 1, do not interrupt. Allow the speaker to convey his thoughts without rushing to convey your thoughts and your ideas. This shows respect and genuine interest. Next, sit down. If the situation presents itself, sit directly in front of the speaker. This lets the speaker know he has your full attention and that you are committed to what he has to say. Next, maintain eye contact, directly facing the speaker. Keep your mind open to receive the information, maintain eye contact, and occasionally nod your head to let the speaker know you comprehend what he is saying. If you're in a meeting or a conference, it may be impossible to maintain eye contact. In these situations, it's okay to take notes to reinforce key information and to show that you are paying attention. Next, acknowledge the speaker's words. An occasional head nod shows the speaker that you are actively engaged in what he is saying. Periodically say yes, by all means. That is very true, and I understand. Things like that will help the speaker know that you are listening actively. If you don't understand, you should ask them to clarify, which also shows that you're listening in addition. Next item, end with open questions. When the speaker has completed his thoughts, end the discussion with a couple of open questions. Open questions require more than a yes or a no answer. For example, rather than say, that must cost you a sale, you might say, why do you think you lost the sale? Then follow up with, what do you plan to do on your next sales call? Or what do you plan to do to make sure that this does not happen again? Okay, one thing I have found to be very effective is to mimic people mentally or to duplicate facial expressions of the person speaking. I turn what the person is saying into a performance, a dramatic role that I'm learning to play. When I do this, I can not only repeat what the person has said, I can even duplicate the facial expressions he used while saying it. I have found time and time again this helps me really understand what the person wants me to know. While you cannot always do this with private conversations, tape record them if possible or when you can. This takes some forethought on your part, which shows commitment to active listening. Showing up at a seminar and bringing a tape recorder with you means you thought about it beforehand and you are actively listening to what is going to be said. Learn the value of meetings and seminars. I am a believer in learning through reading. The wisdom in books is there for anybody who will read. Also, I believe in attending seminars for the same reason. Find speakers whose outlook you truly appreciate and get yourself in front of them by attending their seminars and workshops. Like books, seminars are a great way to pick up valuable information, and there is no better place to practice active listening. Seminars also provide a learning experience that you cannot get with books. Many times I have had the experience of reading a mentor's book and then listening to him or her, and they deliver a seminar on the same subject. And I've picked up things in a seminar that I had completely overlooked when reading the book. Being face-to-face or on the front row is priceless. Also, a book's words are fixed in place, but when the author is speaking on the same topic, he is likely to make some off-the-cuff remarks. As he is talking, things are going to come into the author's head that he will realize are worth saying, and he will say them. When he speaks, he's giving you a revised edition of the book. Be on the front row to catch that revised edition. While some seminars are free, some can cost a lot of money. I do not mind spending money on a great seminar because I do not mind paying for a great education. If I'm paying good money for a seminar, I want to get all I can from it. That is why I recommend tape recording and taking great notes as I actively listen and use tools whenever possible. Okay, let's say you have paid a lot of money to attend an exclusive seminar, as much as, let's say, $5,000. Are you going to attend without a tape recorder? Are you willing to pay $5,000 to hear something said one time, and then for that price you can take the seminar home with you and hear it again and again by simply taking the seminar? So in other words, it costs you no more money, but you can actually hear it over and over again if you tape it. Sitting through even excellent seminars can sometimes be trying. Your focus naturally goes in and out, like a yo-yo move, constantly up and down. You're hearing what is said, and you are not. Your mind has wandered. You're going to miss things no matter how dynamic the speaker is. Remember, it's not the speaker's job to be a good speaker as much as it is for you, your job, to be a good listener. Getting the speaker's message on tape lets you review it for what you might have missed. Do not let the fact that you are recording be an excuse for not paying active attention while you are there. How do you overcome losing focus? You have to keep your mind alert. You have to watch the speaker closely, like I have said earlier. You have to listen actively, asking yourself what the speaker means and trying to get into his mind as much as possible. Even all this activity can cause you to miss things. Listening to a public speaker is not like having a one-on-one conversation where you can interact and get clarification on the spot, which is why tape recording is important. As president and CEO of National Agents Alliance, I attend seminars all over the country. When I do, I always sit on the front row or as close as I can get. Being up front keeps me focused. I preach this to the members of our organization to the point where we have actually almost had some scuffles at seminars where all of us are trying to get on the front row. Everyone can't seat on the front row. Setting up front mentality in our organization, you attract people who want to listen, who want to be active listeners and active learners. If upfront seats are more expensive, I pay the extra cost. It is the same as going to a baseball game and paying for seats behind the dugout as opposed to the cheap seats in left field bleachers. If the seminar is free, well, why would I not take advantage of sitting up front anyway to get as much of my time as I can? Sitting up front, like bringing a tape recorder, means you are making a commitment to benefit as much from the speaker as you possibly can. Being physically close to the speaker lets you pick up on facial expressions and gestures you might have otherwise missed. When you're in the private conversation, you cannot just mimic someone's facial expressions in front of them, except in your own mind. However, being in the front row at a seminar, you can do that, and I recommend that. I even recommend exaggerating the speaker's facial expressions to stay more attuned to what he is saying. I have noticed that if the speaker sees you are so attuned that you are imitating him, he actually takes off on this and becomes even more animated, feeding off of your interest. He sees you going along with him, so he sells it even harder, and you get a higher level message from him. Recording conversations in an interview can serve another purpose. When I am talking one-on-one with someone important, I can be nervous. I can be thinking about my next question while he is answering the last one. I can be excited about being in front of this person and miss some of what he is actually telling me. No matter how thoroughly I have trained myself to be a good listener, emotion, excitement, and nervousness can diminish my capacity to listen. You cannot always stop someone to get clarification either. Likely, you will not know you have missed something until it's too late. Recording the conversation lets you sit down later and hear clearly what was said. Finally, a recorded speech can also help you become a successful speaker. If you want to become an accomplished speaker, you need to study the accomplished speakers. You need to pay attention to those things like voice inflection. You need to hear how a good speaker will vary the pace of his remarks, how he will use dramatic pauses, and why and when his voice changes pitch. You need to be able to imitate these things. Listening to a talk multiple times can provide a good education in effective speaking. When it comes to listening while selling, everything I'm telling you about listening in seminars also applies when you're someone's home trying to make a sale. You can mentally mimic your customers. I do not mean for you to sit in front of them and make the same face they're making. They will think you're making fun of them. What I mean is that you can position your body the way they have theirs positioned in order to feel what they are feeling. If I sit like the person I'm talking to, I can pick up on what he or she is thinking. It is really incredible. I can actually pick up on something unsaid by just putting myself in a mirroring posture. It not only gives you the feeling that you understand them, it actually allows you to understand them, at least up to a certain point. I tell people, try to be agnostic listeners. An agnostic listener means that when you begin a conversation, you listen without a preconceived notion or belief of what the other person will say. You should not go into conversation, especially when you're trying to make a sale, with a bunch of preconceived notions in your head. You should not make too many assumptions or listen for answers to life's questions. Just listen to what the person you're talking to is saying and be genuinely interested in what is being said. Okay, now move into this. Making your car a rolling university by listening. Finally, use audio such as tapes, MP3s, and CDs to educate and motivate yourself just as you would with books. Ask motivated business people how they spend their travel time, and they will tell you they listen to audio material. They actively listen to audios to maximize their time by learning, and they let good audios serve as personal mentors to motivate them. Why is it that at a certain point in life people quit making money? Is it because they're tired and worn out, or is it because they have lost their motivation? Audios can motivate you by developing your talents. They highlight skills and techniques that are already proven to work. Business-minded people, especially sales agents, spend a lot of time traveling. Using travel time to listen to audios makes this time worthwhile. It also serves to make traffic and wait times a lot less annoying and stressful. If you vary your list of audios, it will keep things fresh and interesting. I have several success-building audios you can access and listen to for free at my website, www.andyalbright.com/8steps. Active listening should be diligently practiced. This habit will advance your career by sending a message to your customers that you have a sincere interest in them and not just in making a sale. It also tells management that you are eager to learn and you want to excel in your business model. Chapter 4. No individual can win a game by himself. Pele, the incredible soccer player. Building is the ultimate. The whole idea of building your own business and having an entrepreneurial spirit is that you work to build a legacy, and it offers you rewards in several ways for many, many years to come. You work hard, put good people in place to help you, and you expect your efforts to reward you in terms of lifestyle, compensation, and rich, meaningful relationships. No person in their right mind would waste energy, emotion, effort, time, money, and resources to build a business if they didn't think it would last for years and years. Time, effort, and money are some of the most valuable things a person has. So if you're going to spend these resources, then you want to be successful and see a return on your investment. In the financial industry, most people don't think about building. They think of it as a sales job where you make a sale and get a commission, a very nice commission. This is a very transactional way to think about what we do, and it's not the ideal way to think about it when you're looking to build a team. It's fine to know all about the products, the commissions, etc., but it's more important to know how to recruit and build a business. Yes, you can make a great living by selling products. However, you can only make so many sales on your own pen. Building is where you can really maximize your income potential and make massive amounts of money. Why is it that people don't understand that concept? The highest paid people in the world are paid for getting other people to move or make sales. These people are builders, yet most people don't see the potential of recruiting others to make sales with them. Yes, it's true, you do not make a dime when you recruit a new person. However, once a recruit makes sales, then the commission checks start coming in. Getting people to make sales is awesome, but recruiting new people and training them to make sales is just as important as being successful when building a team. One key when you're looking to build a strong team is to work hard to establish great relationships from the beginning. There will be times when this is painful because they ask frustrating questions and they are whining about why they aren't closing sales. But you must work with your team to help them get past the whining so you can all start winning. When you talk on the phone or meet with a teammate in person, you must have clear objectives. Take the time to help them with goal setting and even making their own recruiting dials. Most recruits get out of the gate slowly, so anything you can do to speed up their progress is only going to increase the likelihood of them sticking with you. The faster an agent gets paid, the more likely they will take your advice and follow the system that's in place. The return on your time will surprise you. Anybody can make sales occasionally, but building takes more work and effort. The problem with recruiting a team is that it is hard and you will likely have a negative experience at some point. People will quit, never do anything, or just bother you in general. The flip side is sales where everything is positive. Thinking about the immediate commission of selling often outweighs the long-term potential of recruiting or building a team for the long haul. If you think you're building, draw out your team and see how it looks. If the sheet of paper doesn't have other names on it, then you're not building. Are you being honest with yourself about your building efforts? Do you have as many people as you thought you did that actually are doing something? Maybe you're not doing everything you should so that people can duplicate you. Make a conscious effort to see if you're on track when it comes to trying to build a team. Let's talk about a great recruiter. We've all seen a person who brings them in by the dozens, like vultures on a dead deer. I'm talking about a recruiting machine. This person is great on the phone, they motivate others, and they do a great job of selling the dream. This person is great in front of a room of people and says all the right things. However, it seems like none of the people they recruit seem to stick around very long. Why would this happen? It is possible they are only good at getting people on board and they don't help the person beyond that. This is more common than people realize. Why build? The reason you want to build is to leave legacy. You have to know your building efforts will eventually pay off down the road, even if you can't see it immediately. If you knew building for the next year or even 5 years would pay dividends for the next 30 years, would you hesitate to build it big for even 1 second? When you were a child, did you ever start a project only to realize it was going to be a headache to finish and it might not be exactly what you thought it was before you started? Did your parents make you complete the project even though you didn't want to? If this happened to you, did you feel rewarded once you completed the final product? My wife and I just finished remodeling a beautiful cabin 10 minutes from our home. I can promise you that when the project started, it was hard for many to see the vision we had for the finished home. There were headaches with contractors, builders, and landscapers, etc. Mistakes were made and feelings were hurt from time to time. We kept working and building until it became a 6,000 square foot home on 250 acres in what is now a dream setting. What if we had given up halfway through? We would not be able to enjoy the time, energy, and effort it took to build it the right way. The process was never perfect, and it took us longer to finish than we expected, but we kept working and making corrections and improvements along the way. We're not done with this property, and we're always thinking of new ideas that would make it an even better place for those who spend time at the Albright Leadership Cabin. It's a special place where we share with members of the Alliance, our friends, and our family. Think about a home improvement project you dream of completing this year. Think about how and why you want to take on this project. Why do you want to do it? Is it for you, loved ones, friends? Who's it for? Why is now the right time? Does it need to be smaller or does it need to be bigger? How long will it take to finish? What is your ideal time frame from start to finish? How much will it cost? Can you really afford it? What about this project have you not thought out? That's just a short exercise to help you start thinking about building or improving something around your home. You want to weigh everything out before you spend money and time to get started. The project should be a result of your vision, and it's the same logic in building a business. If we can approach recruiting in the same way we look at a home improvement, would we all be better builders? People often ask, Andy, why am I trying to build a business? Let's think about that now. You are looking for a change in your life. If you're like me, you're not satisfied with where you are right now in life. Maybe you need a career change or just a change in your thinking. People will not change until they are ready. When you find a person that's ready, look out. They're going to change fast. You believe you can be successful. I believe all people can be successful if they work hard at it. People that don't believe they can win never will. That's what separates winners and losers. A winner finds a way to make it happen, even in the face of adversity. A winner is going to work hard to build a team because they recognize the results that come from building it big. You have a bigger dream and vision for your life. Did you grow up wanting more than what you saw in your environment? Have you spent most of your life working to find a better way? If you know what you want and talk about it often, you will be more positive and more willing to work for your dream and goals. You have an actionable plan. Have you set your goals? Did you write them down? Are you taking action? Once you do this, you know what to do and how to do it. It's just a matter of putting in the time and work needed to achieve your goals. You want to build it big. The Alliance has a proven system in place. With your hard work, people can duplicate you. Make a conscious effort to see if you're on track when it comes to trying to build a team. Let's talk about a great recruiter. We've all seen a person who brings them in by the dozens, like vultures on a dead deer. I'm talking about a recruiting machine. This person is great on the phone, they motivate others, and they do a great job of selling the dream. This person is great in front of a room of people and says all the right things. However, it seems like none of the people they recruit seem to stick around very long. Why would this happen? It is possible they are only good at getting people on board and they don't help the person beyond that. This is more common than people realize. Why build? The reason you want to build is to leave legacy. You have to know your building efforts will eventually pay off down the road, even if you can't see it immediately. If you knew building for the next year or even 5 years would pay dividends for the next 30 years, would you hesitate to build it big for even 1 second? When you were a child, did you ever start a project only to realize it was going to be a headache to finish and it might not be exactly what you thought it was before you started? Did your parents make you complete the project even though you didn't want to? If this happened to you, did you feel rewarded once you completed the final product? My wife and I just finished remodeling a beautiful cabin 10 minutes from our home. I can promise you that when the project started, it was hard for many to see the vision we had for the finished home. There were headaches with contractors, builders, and landscapers, etc. Mistakes were made and feelings were hurt from time to time. We kept working and building until it became a 6,000 square foot home on 250 acres in what is now a dream setting. What if we had given up halfway through? We would not be able to enjoy the time, energy, and effort it took to build it the right way. The process was never perfect, and it took us longer to finish than we expected, but we kept working and making corrections and improvements along the way. We're not done with this property, and we're always thinking of new ideas that would make it an even better place for those who spend time at the Albright Leadership Cabin. It's a special place where we share with members of the Alliance, our friends, and our family. Think about a home improvement project you dream of completing this year. Think about how and why you want to take on this project. Why do you want to do it? Is it for you, loved ones, friends? Who's it for? Why is now the right time? Does it need to be smaller or does it need to be bigger? How long will it take to finish? What is your ideal time frame from start to finish? How much will it cost? Can you really afford it? What about this project have you not thought out? That's just a short exercise to help you start thinking about building or improving something around your home. You want to weigh everything out before you spend money and time to get started. The project should be a result of your vision, and it's the same logic in building a business. If we can approach recruiting in the same way we look at a home improvement, would we all be better builders? People often ask, Andy, why am I trying to build a business? Let's think about that now. you are looking for a change in your life. If you're like me, you're not satisfied with where you are right now in life. Maybe you need a career change or just a change in your thinking. People will not change until they are ready. When you find a person that's ready, look out. They're going to change fast. You believe you can be successful. I believe all people can be successful if they work hard at it. People that don't believe they can win never will. That's what separates winners and losers. A winner finds a way to make it happen, even in the face of adversity. A winner is going to work hard to build a team because they recognize the results that come from building it big. You have a bigger dream and vision for your life. Did you grow up wanting more than what you saw in your environment? Have you spent most of your life working to find a better way? If you know what you want and talk about it often, you will be more positive and more willing to work for your dream and goals. You have an actionable plan. Have you set your goals? Did you write them down? Are you taking action? Once you do this, you know what to do and how to do it. It's just a matter of putting in the time and work needed to achieve your goals. You want to build it big. The Alliance has a proven system in place. With your hard work, people can duplicate you. Make a conscious effort to see if you're on track when it comes to trying to build a team. Let's talk about a great recruiter. We've all seen a person who brings them in by the dozens, like vultures on a dead deer. I'm talking about a recruiting machine. This person is great on the phone, they motivate others, and they do a great job of selling the dream. This person is great in front of a room of people and says all the right things. However, it seems like none of the people they recruit seem to stick around very long. Why would this happen? It is possible. Step 7, be accountable. What does it mean to be accountable? In simple terms, it means you do what you say you're going to do. You are who you say you are. As my friend, Vietnam hero, war veteran, Cleve McClary says, say what you mean and mean what you say. Doing what you say you will do may sound easy, but many people find it extremely difficult. To see how you are doing with this, have a trusted friend tell you whether you follow through on your promises. Do your actions reflect what you say to other people? If a police officer pulls you over and asks you if you know how fast you are going, do you say, I don't know, over 40? Are you trying to cloud the issue, or do you say, sir, I was going 52 miles per hour? Being accountable for your actions, both good and bad. In doing so, you will become more committed to your goals. Being accountable requires being committed in all areas of your life. Not only must you work, you must also prepare for work. A professional baseball player is committed to playing baseball full time. In order to be accountable to his work, he must also commit himself to a life of watching his diet and exercise. He must assume the responsibility of all his commitments, including, because of his public status, setting a good example with his behavior. One easy way to remember what being accountable means is to think in fiscal terms. When you are accountable, you account for your actions as you account for your family's money or funds that have been entrusted to you. Think of yourself as a CPA of your time, talent, and behavior. When you sign your name to a check, you attest that there is money in the account to back it up. When you schedule an appointment, treat it as if you are writing a check that says you will show up. Neither type of check should ever bounce. No excuses. I remember attending a seminar where the speaker showed up on time even though his schedule had gone terribly astray. He had a charter plane and made very expensive arrangements in order to arrive at the seminar as he had promised. I am sure he lost money on that deal, but losing money on the engagement was not as important as him following through on keeping his good name. An organization that you create will inevitably follow your lead regarding work habits. You have to be accountable or your organization will become worthless and fall apart. If you're not accountable, how are your people going to follow you? This is true for customers as well as for your staff and organization. Anytime you come across a person who does not follow through or is not accountable, others start losing confidence and trust in that person. This loss of confidence, trust, and accountability often leads to a loss of sales. 90-day challenge. Do you wake up every morning feeling comfortable in your lifestyle? The attitude of successful individuals is never an attitude of complacency. Make a commitment to yourself over the next 90 days to change your attitude and to hold yourself accountable for your actions and your words. Commit yourself, like the Rotary Club motto, to never criticize, never condemn, never complain. Always position yourself to operate from a position of strength and not a position of weakness. This will require, again, commitment. The biggest enemy is your own mind. If you are always thinking negatively, when will you find the time to think positively? Commit and change. Be responsible for your actions. Rather than taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, reverse the downward spiral and make your life into one of constant forward movement. Do not lie to yourself. Setting goals is important, but make sure your goals are the logical outcome of an obtainable game plan. Do not set impossible or unlikely goals for yourself that you'll have to back off of when you see they can't be obtained. Let your goals be promises to yourself, and only make promises you know you can keep. Do not lie to yourself. Setting goals is important, but make sure your goals are the logical outcome of an obtainable game plan. Do not set impossible or unlikely goals for yourself that you will have to back off of when you see they cannot be obtained. Let your goals be promises to yourself and only make promises that you can keep. One thing I learned early in my career was to only make promises I knew I could keep. It sounds great to a customer when you promise the moon and the stars, but when you fail to deliver them, it's not so good. The customer is putting his trust in you. If you say you will deliver, he has a right to expect delivery. Do not say things you do not mean, and do not promise what you are not sure you can deliver. It hurts your self-confidence because not only does the customer or your organization see your lack of accountability, you see it too. Develop your faith. Develop your accountability muscle. The Bible tells us that even a small amount of faith, the size of a small mustard seed, can work wonders. The same is true of accountability. If it is okay if you begin with faith or accountability in a small way, it's okay. When you are new to something, when you first take something on faith, or when you start actively practicing accountability, you have to start out small. The whole business of positioning yourself through accountability means doing what I call building your faith muscle. You must also consider it in terms of building your accountability muscle. When developing a business, you have to develop character. You're constantly going to be making promises and setting goals. The trick is to make realistic, often small, promises and then always deliver on them. Make short-term, obtainable goals and then reach these on your way to achieving attainable, long-range goals. Have faith, even if it's just a small faith, in small things. Doing small things right every time develops your faith muscle and lets you see you can do more than you thought. Be accountable by delivering on every small promise you make, and you will see that you can deliver more and more. Then make bigger promises and take on bigger commitments when you know you're able to follow through and feel that muscle grow. It's like lifting weights. You might set out to get strong enough to lift a certain amount of weight, like being able to bench press your body weight or something like that. You may just want to see how far you can develop yourself and by how much you can eventually lift. You achieve your weightlifting goal by starting with a weight you can comfortably handle and lifting it repeatedly until you gradually develop muscles that can lift slightly heavier weight. Then you lift that weight repeatedly and then move up again. You may want to lift 200 pounds by next week, but you do not tell yourself you're going to do it and then find out it's impossible. Develop slowly by lifting weights that you can handle. Just remember, being accountable starts with finding out what you can handle. Then you follow through because you can. You eventually see how being accountable in small things leads to being accountable in bigger things. Being consistently accountable gives you vision. It's a great feeling. Create a positive outlook, create a positive outcome. I talk a lot about the time my wife Jane was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease and how we, especially she, dealt with it. As I have said, we were young at the time and Jane was teaching science full-time in the middle school. From the very beginning of this nightmare ordeal, Jane's attitude was positive. Never once did I hear her complain about the treatments, the nausea, the hair loss. Never once did I hear her complain about commuting to the Baptist Hospital in Winston-Salem, chemotherapy and radiation. Never once did she complain that she had to continue working because we were struggling to pay our bills. She never let her mind be filled with negative thoughts or negative outcome. Jane's positive attitude, her consistent faith in God, was in charge, and this carried us through this medical crisis. Jane had developed a strong faith muscle prior to this disease, which she used and exercised by following her doctor's prescribed course of treatment through being accountable to herself. Today, Jane remains cancer-free after 20-plus years, even though the doctors warned her that the chemotherapy drugs could leave her unable to have children. We now have 2 healthy, beautiful children. Jane decided in her mind that cancer was not going to overtake her life. By creating a positive outlook, she created a positive outcome. She always looked to God and now gives God 100% credit for all of her recovery, but she also never lost sight of the fact that she was responsible for her own actions. She committed to the treatments, to making herself well, and becoming and overcoming this pothole in our road to moving forward. Also, she relied on me as her partner. Never once did our attitude waver because she knew this was our fight and we were both in it to win it. We would not settle for anything but victory. I do not know of any stronger individual than Jane. She said from day one she was going to beat this deadly disease, and she did. She committed to what was required to make herself well, and she made herself accountable for what happened to her and to her family. Jane's father passed away late within the same year of Jane's diagnosis and treatment. She now views her illness as a blessing in disguise because it allowed her to spend extra time with her dad that she would not have had otherwise. Make yourself accountable for your life. Commit yourself to find a positive in everything and eliminate the negative in everything in your life. Your outlook will determine your outcome. Step 6. Be teachable. People change when they want to. If you change fast, that indicates you want to change. If you change slowly, that indicates you do not want to change. Being teachable means that you want to change and you're willing to change fast. You're looking for something better. Put people in your organization who want to change and you will look like a genius. You will have to become a good finder of people and a good judge of character. People will give you credit for changing people, and all you did was find people who wanted to change. It took a long time for me to become teachable, and the change was a gradual one. I fought changing until I was about 35 years old, and only then did I really start becoming successful. Just think how much faster my success might have come if I had learned to change when I was in my 20s. What if I had learned early on to be more teachable instead of thinking I was smarter than everyone else? Missing out on those years of success is what has made me so adamant about people learning to be teachable, especially young people, without spending too much time fighting it. I needed proof. It took example after example before I figured things out. If you will take my word on this step, be teachable is absolutely necessary for success. And if you act on it and you move forward a lot faster with a lot less pain than I did. Learning to lose. Speed up your growth. Be an accelerator. Time, money, and emotion are invested resources. The longer it takes you to change, the more time, money, and emotion you're wasting. Do you want results in your life? Do you want to change your life? If the answer is yes, be willing to make the necessary sacrifices to change. Invest your time, invest your money, and your emotions to achieve results. An example in my life of learning to be teachable dates back to when I was a kid. I was very impatient and I had a temper. When we played sports, I would get mad and blow up at a teammate if I thought he was doing something wrong. I even ran over a little girl who was playing football with us. I got impatient with something she did, and I just knocked her down and ran right over her. My daddy was watching us play and saw me do it. Now, my daddy had cautioned me about my temper a dozen times, but this time, the time I ran over the little girl, he brought the point home to me with his belt. It took some pain, but I learned how to control my temper better that day. If I had been teachable by nature, I could have learned to control it by listening to my dad long before he had to use his belt on me. If you are teachable, you can change before your mistakes cause you a bunch of pain. Be a genius. If you are with National Agents Alliance and you're putting people into your organization, remember to choose people who want to change over the people who are slow to learn. Everybody can expend a lot of time and energy with slow learners. In the same amount of time you spent with one slow learner, you could have found a dozen fast learners who made your job much easier. Everybody loves an underdog, but you do not build a championship team with a bunch of underdog players. Everybody loves the movie Rudy, and everybody cheers when he gets into the game against Georgia Tech. But Notre Dame never won a championship with a bunch of Rudies. You too will never build a winning team with all Rudies. People often like to credit me with working miracles with people because I change people. They witness me working with people and the people become successful, and then they think I'm a genius. All I do, in most cases, is find the people that are ready to change. It is as much about looking for the people who will do the 8 steps as it is about selling the 8 steps. Overcoming to become. How do you see yourself? What is your vision? The book of Proverbs states, "Where there is no vision, my people perish." Proverbs 28:18. King James Version is where that comes from. Being teachable and capable of change gives purpose to your life. It gives you direction. Consider that every time you steer off a correct path by 1 degree and to continue on, you keep compounding the distance between the correct path and where you are going the longer you continue down this incorrect path. Over a few hours, days, or weeks, that 1 degree takes you wider away from the true path. In the short run, there is not much of a variation, but over time, the difference between the right path and the wrong path will become greatly exaggerated. With constant correction and guidance, you constantly correct your course. By watching what you're doing and by listening to somebody who sees you getting off course, you can always make correction. You have to be open to what a good mentor can show you, though. You have to be teachable and willing to change your direction when necessary. If you're teachable, it means that you are ready, willing, and able to change. You must be ready to accept the challenge and sacrifices that change demands. I challenge you to get rid of the useless and harmful habits in your life, the habits that do not lend themselves to your success. Now is the time to make a decision to change your life. You have the artillery to attack. The only thing holding you back is you. Developing the mindset to become a winner must come from deep within inside you. I can tell you to find the passion, the drive, the ambition to find success, but you must internalize this information. You must find your own reason for doing so, the why of changing your life. Why will you get up early to go to work? Why will you go to meetings and pay for them? Why will you be ready to change? Find your own reason. With every individual, it is slightly different. Put your game plan in place. Life is not a game to be played. Life is a series of events that can be planned. Do you see your life ahead? Do you have a vision? At Walt Disney World ribbon-cutting ceremony in Orlando, Florida in 1971, Walt Disney's brother Roy and Walt's wife Lily commented on Walt's vision for the theme park. Roy said, "He was really, in my opinion, truly a genius creative, with great determination, singleness of purpose, and drive. And through his entire life, he was never pushed off of his course or diverted to other things." Even though Walt Disney died a few years prior to the opening of Walt Disney World, his vision was carried out. He had shared the vision with others in his organization, who then made it their vision. When a reporter asked Walt Disney's brother if he thought it was sad that Walt Disney never got to see the completed part, his brother smiled and said, "He saw it in his dreams 1,000 times." You have to be able to put your game plan into place. Walt Disney did this so effectively, his game plan was carried out even after his death. As Barry Clarkson tells me, even your excuses have to be reasons. Barry always used his children as a reason to succeed, not as an excuse to avoid working hard. When you make this directional change, you will change your life and you will change the lives of others around you. Learning something new should be a daily part of your life. Make it a practice to write things down. You should record conference calls. Think and process new information. Do not make important decisions without consulting people you trust. Being teachable means you can act on what you learn. Use what you learn in ways that will grow your income and grow your business. By becoming more growth-oriented, you will find yourself never satisfied. Growth can be defined as a continual process of learning. For this reason, it is more important to be more growth-oriented than goal-oriented. Learn as you go. Always look for means of self-improvement. Sometimes this means taking a step back and gathering your energies. Stephen Covey says that you need to sharpen your saw. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Covey lists ways to personal renewal, such as exercise, meditation, education, and organization. Once you've gathered your energies, set a game plan. Begin with the end in mind, but then work that plan step by step. Remember, you cannot go through the entire process at once. You do not even have to understand the whole process at the beginning. Just do what needs to be done every day. Follow the instructions. Follow the 8 steps. I have always enjoyed playing Monopoly. Everybody, it seems, has played Monopoly at one time or another in their life. Do you remember seeing that list of rules printed on the bottom of the box top? Fortunately, most people play Monopoly with people who have already played. If you first tried playing by opening the box and reading all the rules, you would probably just close the box again. However, you do not have to understand all the rules before you start playing the game. Count out the money, roll the dice, start moving. When you need guidance, look it up in the rules. Monopoly is not hard work. In fact, it's fun. This is why you play it. Business, while it requires work, does not have to be as hard as people make it. Business can be fun. Success can certainly be fun. Just follow those rules and apply them each day and be teachable as you go along. The idea of learning as you go and working a process step by step has never been as clear to me as when my wife was diagnosed with cancer. The situation seemed impossible for us to grasp at first. The whole process seemed complicated because we had no idea how to go about it. We were not doctors. What did we know? What did the doctors know? Then, as I have related, her doctor told us if we followed the instructions, Jane could reach remission of cancer and over time be cured. We soon found out that the rules for Jane's recovery were fairly simple. Attend all meetings was one of them, as in do not miss any chemotherapy sessions. Eating healthy food was one. Imagine that. People with cancer should eat healthy foods. Isn't that amazing? Just follow the steps, all the steps that they are laid out. We did not get to choose which steps we liked. Of course, we did all the steps, and Jane has been cancer-free for 20 plus years now. What if we would have ignored the instructions, thinking that cancer was so big and scary that getting Jane well was something we could never accomplish? Some people look at cancer just that way. Others think they can get well on their own terms, and they do not listen to the experts. Both types lessens the chances for recovery. Many people do the same thing in life. They lessen their chance for success, either because they refuse to engage in the right process or prefer their own misguided ways. These people are not teachable. You cannot be slow to change where your health and where your success is concerned. What keeps you from being teachable? The biggest impediment to becoming teachable, in my experience, is the influence of other people. I have talked about the value of association, that is, being around and learning from the right people. Unfortunately, associating with the wrong people can have the opposite effect, preventing you from achieving your goals or success. This is an old lesson about crabs in a bucket. If you catch a crab and put it in a bucket, it will have no trouble getting out. It can raise itself high enough to stretch out a claw and grab the rim of the bucket. Then it will pull itself up and out. With one crab, you have to put a lid on the bucket to keep it from getting out. Once you've caught a second crab, though, you can pretty much do away with the lid. 2 or more crabs will pull each other back down, trying to climb over each other to get out. As soon as one tries to get out, another one pulls him back down, trying to do the same thing. Associating with negative people is like being a crab in a bucket with other crabs. Nothing's more detrimental to you as you try to learn the 8 steps to success than associating with people who tell you that the 8 steps will not work. Or they may be selling insurance and saying it's not right for you, or that owning your own business only works for certain people, and you're not one of those certain people. Generally, the negative people pull you down. If your spouse is negative regarding your career, you've got a real problem. That is why recruiting National Agents Alliance agents, getting both the agent and his or her spouse committed is very important. Both people need to be on board, or the agent will be like a crab always being pulled back into the bucket. If you're trying to succeed, stay clear of people who do not want you to be successful. In every seminar I lead, I get personal very quickly. I tell you and everyone in the audience who is there to learn to take out a sheet of paper and write down the names of 3 people you should spend less time with. I want people to think of 3 people that they now associate with who have negative influences on them. People who would try to talk them out of learning something new, like how to obtain wealth or start a new business. Too often these people are family members, which is sad. But if it's true, you still need to put them on the list, and if you need to spend less time around them. If you feel bad about this, think of it this way. Often these people just want something from you anyway. You probably sense this, and you probably give them a pretty small Christmas gift each year. So do this. Triple the size of the Christmas gift you give them next year, but spend less time around them. See if they're not happier with the bigger gift and not sad about not being around you. Think about it. Will this person be happier with a gift than the time you spent with them? You're probably going to decide they would be happier with the gift. That's funny about some people. Now, I tell you, take out another sheet of paper and write down the names of 3 people you need to spend more time around. Once you've decided who they are, you need to find ways to spend more time with them. Part of the reason for spending less time around the first 3 people is that doing so will give you more time to spend around the right people. Spending less time around the first 3 can be as simple as hitting ignore on when their number picks up on your phone. You just hit the ignore or the red button, hang up your cell phone. You know that part about changing? Doing this is a simple way you can change. At the next seminar, your list of 3 people to spend more time around is going to change if you've made a real effort to get around the first 3. Inconvenience yourself to get around the right people. Be like the kid in the movies who hides out in a clubhouse locker room and caddies to be around pro golfers and then becomes a pro golfer himself. I have actually booked flights knowing that somebody I wanted as a mentor was taking that flight. I asked him first if he would mind, and then I sat with him on the plane. If someone you want to meet has written a book, read this book. Then if he's given a seminar, go to it. Get there early. Try to meet the person that wrote the book. Get out of your comfort zone and change. Do not be like I was and decide the way you are is just the way you are, or that you're too smart to learn. I have to admit that some of those who I thought were the least intelligent people in our organization have turned out to be the highest achievers. I never want to be so smart that I cannot be successful. Stephen Davies is one of NAA's team players who immediately adjusted who he associated with. As a result, he became the youngest agent to earn more than $1 million in 1 year at the age of 25. He is a shining example of the power of being teachable. Break the chain. Child abuse is a horrific situation, as anybody knows. But one of the saddest things about abuse is that it's often passed on. The abused person grows up to victimize another child. A milder form of abuse consists of people being told they're not smart enough or that they do not have a fair chance at success. No one has done this or that in their family, and so they do not expect to be any different than anyone in their family. I am thankful I was never held back like that by my parents. I have talked about how my mother encouraged me just by telling other people that I could be counted on to do whatever it was I said I would do. As far as she was concerned, I could achieve anything I wanted. I grew up thinking I could do anything because my parents always encouraged me, and I never had that little voice in my head that constantly said, "No, you can't." If you have been limited by others, by family, or anyone else, make a decision to break the chain. Let yourself be the last one to be limited. By overcoming your limitations, learn to change and pass that on to your children. Be teachable and then teach others. In Stephen Davies' case, He first became successful with NAA, and then he turned and helped his parents become successful. This is a terrific example of breaking the chain in a big way. Chapter 8. Communicate with a positive mental attitude. Your ability to communicate conveys a message about your personality. Are you constantly finding reasons to complain? Are you ridiculing or finding fault in your coworkers and your friends? See, communication can be destructive or constructive. In the movie Cool Hand Luke, or Paul Newman, he struggles against authority. Strother Martin, the head sheriff guy, he tells him that if he wanted to get along in prison, he needed to, quote, get his mind right, end quote. What else did Martin say to him? What we have here is a failure to communicate. We all love Luke for standing up to the prison guards, but by failing to communicate, Luke did not make it out of the movie alive. Please, make a conscious decision that you are not going to complain. Resolve as well that you're going to ask questions far more often than you're making statements. If you ask questions, it tells others that you are anxious to learn and that you are interested in what they have to say. Positive communication indicates your desire to be of service. Communicating in a positive manner will lure people into your business. Let us take, for example, an insurance agent on an appointment. The agent begins by picking up on an easily identifiable object in the client's home or office. He says, "I see from your family photos that you are a grandmother." Then he transitions and takes action. "I have insurance policies that will cover all of the members of your family." Next, he communicates a positive evaluation of his customer. "I know you want to make sure that your family is protected if something were to happen to you." Finally, he builds credibility by showing that he believes in the benefits of his business. "I bought the same policy for myself, my wife, and my 4-year-old daughter." You form a connection with your customers when you have similarities with them or when you share common interests. Use what you have in common to your advantage by talking about it with your customers. Projecting a positive mental attitude is something that can be learned, just like anything else. I read recently about a guy who said, "The first thing I try to do when I wake up in the morning and I do not feel dirt pressing down on me, I get fired up, I get excited. I start thinking, I'm lucky, I have got a chance." This man has learned to appreciate what he has. He starts off each day appreciating life itself. Now, that is a positive mental attitude. So what do you have to complain about? You woke up alive this morning? Did you not? Remember, light and dark cannot coexist. Negative and positive cannot coexist. Train yourself to get past the negatives in your life and fill those spaces with positive. If you can get excited about being alive, it's hard for you to fret over that meeting that you have coming up. You will have to deal with negative things as they come up each day, but right now you have positive momentum. Each day when you wake up, you should get that positive momentum going. If your whole organization fell apart, everybody quit on you, try to say this: "You know what? I'm glad I'm alive so that I can rebuild my whole organization." That'll get your mind started in the right direction. Choosing the right means of communication is also important. If your message is factual, communicate with an email or a text message, something digital. Telephone numbers, sales figures, and contacts are facts, things that go out in email. If your message involves emotions, communicate with a phone call or in person. Thoughts, ideas, and comments always stir up others' emotions, and in-person meetings, and to the lesser degree, phone calls, help you sense how a person is responding. Use the most effective means of communication for the type of message you have to relay. It is also important to consider the tone of your communication. Not all communication is positive, yet all communication can be relayed in a positive manner. Management needs information, both positive and negative, when it affects your business. They need to know where there are problems. They need to be kept informed of ongoing situation or areas where trouble may occur. However, these things should be conveyed in a positive context as possible. For example, this statement: "We have a situation with our turnaround time on an application submittals," relays a negative situation in a positive tone. "You had better fix our turnaround time in application submittals or we're going to lose customers," presents the same problem as a personal accusation and a threat, to which no one can respond positively. Communicate your facts and emotions with a positive tone. Communication should always use inclusive words like we or our rather than you or they. By using inclusive language, problems within an organization become the whole team's problem instead of an individual's problem. As a member of the team, you are not accusing others of inadequacy. Instead, you are addressing a situation that needs to be addressed by the whole team, yourself included. If you have started out positively by being appreciative about just being alive, you are way ahead of a lot of people. If you can take that positive momentum into your day, you're going to project a positive mental attitude. If you do not have a positive momentum, how are you going to project positivity? Please don't come to me and tell me things are not good, even if you have a lot that's going wrong. Start off talking to me about how you woke up, breathed in the air, and it felt good. If you've got to tell me something negative, you can get around to that, but start out with something positive. That way we will be as positive about the negative as we can be once we get to it. Remember what Mary Poppins told the kids in the movie, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Give me the bad news with a little bit of sugar. Be positive in getting through the negative. Keep the positive end in mind. Speaking of movies, one of my favorites is Shawshank Redemption. Here you have a guy in the prison working toward a way out. It takes him 30 years, but he never gives up. Where does he end up? On a beach in Mexico. He ends up not in prison. He ends up with wealthy and doing very well. Talking about keeping a positive mental attitude, that guy was something else. Remember, the glass is neither half full nor half empty. It is always full. It is full of water, and it's full of air. I'm not being naive about this. I know life is full of failure and negative experiences. I'm very much against wearing rose-colored glasses, but I'm also very big on starting out the day by being happy about the fact that I am still breathing and still have a chance. One thing I have learned is that you will not have good days without bad days. Bad days are actually important. They provide a comparison that allow you to appreciate the good days. The seeds of success are planted in the obstacles of distress. It is important to build on obstacles. They can be the foundation of your success if you build on them instead of letting them destroy you. Make every obstacle or crisis an opportunity to get better. A lot of people actually thrive in a crisis and do well under pressure. A crisis gets them going. Being positive, on the other hand, tends to lessen the frequency and severity of crises. You should get excited about the obstacles because once you cut down on the crisis in your life, you cannot rely on the adrenaline they provide to get you momentum. Here's how I look at positive and negatives when dealing with agents in my organization. If an agent has something positive happen, he first has to recognize it. Too many people let the day's positive experiences get lost in the day's negative experiences. Let's say I'm talking to an agent and he tells me he made 72 phone calls and had 2 positive responses. He's depressed. 2 out of 72, he says. What he needs to recognize that it is not just 2 out of 72. He needs to recognize is that he has achieved 2 positive responses. Once he's looking at it that way, he is 1,000 times more likely to improve his score to 4, and then 8, and then 36 out of 72. Please don't tell me you made 72 calls and only got 2 sales. Just tell me the 2 sales part. Tell me you got 2 sales. Then we can talk about how you got them and how you're going to get more of them. Statistics are just statistics. It's how you look at them that determines everything. How you look at statistics determines your energy level, which determines your activity level, which determines your success level. If 2 out of 72 looks like a negative to you and your statistics are 2 sales and 72 sales calls, then you're looking at a negative and you are depressed about your business. If, on the other hand, 2 sales is a good thing, then your energy level will rise and your success rate will rise also. Momentum is built by evaluating your statistics positively. Being positive allows you to see what you did right amidst everything you have done wrong. Once you grasp why things went right, you can replicate those actions and multiply your success. Simply put, if you can be positive and convey a positive attitude, the misses are going to become as positive as the hits. If you're learning from the misses, you're getting more hits. So now it is likely that the glass is always full. Which are the negatives? The misses are the hits. Neither are negative if the misses are positives. If air is more important to your life than water, then which is the negative half of the glass? The half of the water or the half of the air? They're both positive. It's a business of attraction. How many times have you found yourself sizing one up before the first words were ever even spoken? All of us do this. Before introductions are made and before anyone has shaken hands, people form opinions of the other person, which is why personal presentation is so important. Each of us communicates an image of who we are by the way we look and act. Business requires personal attraction. Everything you communicate, verbally or otherwise, either brings individuals toward you or pushes them away. By presenting yourself in a positive manner, you will pull individuals into your circle and make them favorably disposed toward your agenda. So you need to constantly ask yourself, am I advancing or hindering my growth? Am I bringing people in or am I pushing people away? Are people glad to be around you or are they glad when you go away? I have a friend I call by nickname Sunshine because when he leaves the room brightens up. Dress for success. Personal appearance conveys attitude. It tells others you are confident and in control, or it tells them you are uncertain and nervous. Appearance can either build or destroy that first positive mental impression. When you approach someone, you're smiling. Are your lips locked tight in anticipation of grandma's cough medicine? Ugh. Is your suit freshly pressed, or did you dig it up off the floor in the back of your closet? Can you see your reflection in your shoes, or do you look like you shined your shoes with a brick? Dress for success. Your personal appearance is a reflection of who you are. Relax your eyebrow. Relax it. Take your keys and your change out of your pocket. Don't be jingle-jangling. Smile, and not a fake smirky grin, but a genuine wholehearted smile. Show your customer you want to be there. Demonstrate to your customer and organization that you are professional. Convey an attitude of professionalism. How you present yourself will form a lasting impression before you ever open your mouth. We have heard all the cliches. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. The reason we have heard it is because it is true. Use your personal appearance to your advantage, not your disadvantage. If you're ever uncertain about the appropriate dress for a meeting or event, ask someone what you should be wearing. Line up your words. The words you use have a major impact on how others see you. Are your words lining up with who you are and where you want to go? Or are your sentences filled with, I don't know. You may have graduated at the top of your class, but when it comes to speaking, do you stumble over your words or do you ramble? Think before you speak. Line your words up with your thoughts. It's important to remember to communicate about tomorrow, not yesterday. Your manager does not want to hear about the past. They want to know what you have to say about the future. Consider this comment. I have a great sales presentation. I would like to share with you what will help you with this month's sales goals. It will only take 5 minutes of your time. You are communicating a positive mental attitude, and you are relaying to your upline your next level of achievement. Business is a competitive field, and minor differences in the way people speak can separate the winners from the losers. Quit butting me. When I was a kid growing up in Union Ridge, I had some goats that would butt me with their heads. Today I have some agents that butt me also. They say, Andy, I will do what you say, but. This butts me more than the goats ever did. You cannot say but this and but that and but. You cannot commit to only part of my 8-step program. You have to do all 8 steps with no buts. One thing I would like to say about people looking negatively at the circumstances is that circumstances are relative. Here in the United States, even poor people have it good compared to the people elsewhere and compared to people in past years here in the States. You think you have it bad because you live in a small apartment, a trailer, a government housing. So many people in this country live in better circumstances in elegant condominiums or comfortable homes. Yet, even in our bad circumstances, you likely have a refrigerator full of food, you have carpeting on the floor, thermostats set at 70 degrees or 71 degrees in the wintertime. You likely have air conditioning to keep you comfortable in the summer. I know there are truly poor people, homeless people in our country, but if you are reading this, you are not destitute. You are not like so many people in developing countries who truly have nothing. You are blessed. You may be so blessed that you do not try to even improve your situation. The way to success is often through failure, and in this country there's too much interference with failure. You do not really have to succeed if you do not desire it. You rarely have to step up and try harder in this country. Although the recent poor economic times have made more people aware of what true failure looks like, there are probably more people today who are motivated to put economic jeopardy behind them than it was even a few years ago. Help is at hand. If you are among those looking for real economic security by running your own business, but you do not quite know how to proceed, remember this: you never have to succeed entirely on your own. You have to take the responsibility to succeed, and you have to take the initiative, but you do not have to do everything by yourself. I look at people who are learning new things to succeed in business, just like children trying to do something that they don't have the strength to do. Think of a little kid trying to open a jar of peanut butter. He cannot because the lid is too tight and his little hands just won't make it budge. What does he do? He asks an adult to open it for him. It is not his fault he cannot do it, and he does not have to go without the peanut butter just because he's not strong enough to open the jar. Never be afraid to ask for help. You should not be afraid of the way a more experienced person might handle your problem. What he might say to your client, for instance, if you had picked up an experienced mentor, he is going to know better than you what to do. What he knows is something you have to learn. Let him show you how it's done. Remember what I referred to earlier about being teachable. A lot of being teachable is just being positive, asking for help, and learning from others that can be the most positive thing you can do. So be positive and be teachable. Put your ego aside. Never give up on something you want by saying it's not worth it just because you don't know how to get it. I always say that there are three things that are the hardest things to do. It is hard to climb up a fence that leans toward you. It is hard to kiss a girl who is leaning away from you. And it is real hard to help somebody who does not want to be helped. You can have all the help in the world if you will just let people know you want it and need it. I know because I've been helping people in this business for a lot of years. That is, I have been helping people who want to be helped. Timing is everything. One last peanut butter analogy. In business, timing is everything. To prove this point, I will give a 25-minute talk on making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. In my story, I start out by making a sandwich by taking 2 slices of bread and laying them on a plate. Then the next day, I come back into the kitchen and peanut butter on the bread. People say, "What? Wait." That's right, I claim. That's how you make a peanut butter sandwich. You put the peanut butter right on the bread. And they say, "Yeah, but you're waiting till the next day." And I say, "Well, just wait until the next part. The next part is I'll wait another day to spread the jelly. Then I put the 2 halves together and I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." I prove that I know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I also illustrate to the audience the importance of timing, because if you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and it takes 48 hours to do it, the sandwich will be a disaster. Timing is important in the simplest of food preparation, and timing is important in sales. Timing, knowing what to say, when to say it, and when to pause, and when to let the other person speak, ties back into association, which ties into reading, listening to audio files, and going to meetings. Most of all, it relates back to being teachable, working and having a communication or communicating with a positive mental attitude. A case in point. Being positive means getting excited about the mundane, the everyday, the ordinary. For instance, I heard a story from a friend of mine, a guy named Lee Brower. In his story, Lee is talking about a buddy who calls him, and he says, "Hey Lee, I have a positive story. And not only did I capture it, I want to share it with you." He says, "Yesterday, Lee, I shook the hand of my newborn baby grandson. And I'm the first person to ever shake this new little boy's hands. Isn't that awesome?" And Lee said, "How'd that make you feel?" He said, "It made me love my grandson all the more. It made me appreciate life. It made me think about all the possibilities in this baby's life." Then Lee asked him what he's going to do with this wonderful positive. He said, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the first guy to shake this kid's hand for every birthday of this kid's life. And then, after I shake his hand every year, right on his birthday, I'm going to tell him how much he means to me." Lee says, "Is that practical? Won't the kid outlive you?" So the guy says to him, he says, "I'll tell you how I'm going to do it then. I'm going to write my grandson a letter, and as soon as I hang up this phone, and I'm going to tell him how much shaking his hand meant to me in that letter. When he gets bigger, he can appreciate that moment between us. Then I'm going to tell him that every birthday I will attempt to be there, the first person to shake his hand, and then when I'm not there, when he shakes the hand of somebody else, I want him to look at that person in the eye and tell him, my granddaddy was the first person to ever shake my hand when I was born. And I'm going to start this boy with that tradition right now. Do you see the energy in all of that? Do you see how the positive carried throughout the second step and how it can carry throughout your organization, your whole company, just off of a handshake with a little newborn baby? Maybe you've had setbacks in life. Maybe you've lost money. Maybe you've lost something permanent like your eyesight. Don't dwell on that. I tell you what, in the light of recognizing the positive in all the experience, like the one in this story, you can overcome blindness. You can overcome all of life's challenges. As long as you do not wake up smelling dirt over your face, you can overcome anything with a positive attitude. If you will project that attitude and take it to the next step, you can change the world. Successful people form positive relationships with the people around them. It's that way even in the animal kingdom. One monkey alone in a cage is more scared than two monkeys that are put together. Similarly, individuals who establish rapport with others and make a connection with other human beings are more secure and less frightened than those who operate alone. They develop an attitude of teamwork and motivation. Performing all 8 steps forms a winning attitude in a team network. It provides your commitment. It also involves the people around you. It requires the power of association. Keep reading. Turn the page. There's more to know, and it is great news. Step 5. Attend all meetings. It is important, and many successful people can tell you this, to attend all meetings that your company holds. Be at sales meetings, be at seminars, or weekend conventions. You need to be at them all. This is especially true at National Agents Alliance, where our training makes all the difference to our agents who are selling and building success. Meeting with other members of the organization is also invaluable as a means of networking and learning from others. When a person attends a meeting, he is sending a message that he wants to be part of the organization. He desires to be part of the team. He sees value in the organization's methods, and he wants to benefit from them. Attending meetings allows a person to refocus and redirect his goals. Imagine for a moment that you're a baseball player, a first baseman, let's say for the New York Yankees. An important game is coming up, but you tell your manager that you have to take off for an important family event. Reluctantly, the manager says, "Okay, I'll put in your replacement." During your absence, the replacement hits 2 home runs. When you return after a couple days, you're shocked that the manager has forgotten your name. You find yourself as the replacement for your replacement. That is what happened to Wally Pipp on June 2nd, 1925. He gave way to his first baseman, Lou Gehrig, and then he proceeded to watch Gehrig play 2,130 consecutive games in his previous spot. How about that for a whoops? Attending meetings generates enthusiasm and motivation. It initiates questions. Successful people are excited about attending meetings. They know meetings are teaching mechanism designed to keep everyone informed about the company products and services. They are a prime venue for networking with other agents and clients at National Agents Alliance. By creating opportunities for discussion, meetings provide information that will help you track performance, goals, and your profitability. They help you learn how to sell through associating with others that are very successful selling. People get excited when they get outside their comfort zones, and meetings provide opportunities to get outside your comfort zone. Being removed from your comfort zone often creates a desire to, quote, get up in there, end quote. If the meeting is about what you do, that is, if it's a sales meeting or a seminar on selling, that should be reason enough to attend. These meetings are designed specifically to give you an edge in business, a head start against others who don't want to do it. If you are fighting to get ahead, to succeed beyond what you once knew was possible, you will take every opportunity that is offered to learn how. You will be fighting and scratching for information that will help you make yourself successful. If this is you, you are going to want to attend every meeting and take every opportunity to improve yourself that you can. This does not mean for you to become a meeting groupie. Don't just attend just so you can tell people, I went to the meeting. Attend, take notes, record it, learn it, do something. Too many people do not want success bad enough. They're doing okay, and in their opinion, they just want to stay in their comfort zone. Attending meetings, learning, actively listening, taking notes, paying attention is just too much work for some people. For others, however, it is more like fuel for the fire. So ask yourself, do you want just enough, or do you want true success? Do you want to keep the bills paid, or do you want that second home, the ability to give to causes that you believe in, luxury automobiles, a time to travel across the world with your family? What do you actually want? In sales, it is important to put your ego aside and try to understand the needs of the person to whom you are selling. If a customer detects a sense of arrogance on your part, all of the logic and all of the sales technique in the world will not make him buy from you. This kind of understanding needs to carry over in all your business methods, and especially important in your meeting attendance. If you do not believe that listening to the best people in the business who are telling you what they know will help you succeed, then you have allowed your ego and arrogance to get the best of you. You are denying yourself the help that you need because of ego. If you're not smart enough or successful enough to lead a sales meeting or to host seminars, then you should definitely be attending them. I like to say that there are 3 ways to change your life. Read books, number 1. Number 2, listen to audio. Number 3, associate with successful people. I have talked about the importance of reading and listening to audios to gain knowledge. Like books and audios, meetings are an important part of learning. Unlike reading books and listening to audios, meetings enhance learning by allowing you to use all of your senses. When you attend meetings, you hear the stories of successful individuals. You see the visual aids reflecting winning strategies of self-improvement. You touch the hands of effective leaders. It might be said that you can taste the enthusiasm of other people's desire to achieve and even smell the success of that you will experience. With your new techniques enthusiasm, that's what you will walk away with. You gain far more than written or spoken information when you are immersed in the experience of a great sales meeting, convention, or seminar. Keep in mind that most of your senses are useless when your head is in the sand. The exact saying my good country friends use refers to having your head in a different place. They say that 4 out of 5 of your senses will not even work when your head is in that other place. A good meeting or seminar lets you open up to learning by letting all of your senses get involved with the learning process. Okay. Only losers complain. People who do not want to attend meetings always justify staying at home. They say things like, it costs too much. Other thing they say is, it will take too much of my time away from my family. How about this? In fact, they do not want to see the value of making the effort to attend. These people have the least success in our business because they do not want to put out the extra effort. By not attending meetings, they are not only failing to take the 5 steps of the 8 steps to success, they are also backing away from step number 2 because they are failing to undertake some very important work. Keep this in mind. The people who attend all of the meetings never complain about them. It's only the people who refuse to benefit from meetings who complain about them. The complainers are the ones who are losing by not taking the opportunity to learn. And it is these losers who justify in their minds that they are not missing anything. Therefore, they think they do not need to attend. They miss out on the true value of attending meetings. By attending meetings, you are tricking yourself into making money and becoming successful. You are providing yourself with opportunities that motivate you to adopt methods that you might never have otherwise tried. Grow to know and go to know. Meetings and conventions allow you to meet face-to-face with individuals that make direct contact with them. Meetings also allow you to learn from those who are in the hunt, who are experiencing success. Nothing is more essential to real learning than meeting people that are there, people that are where you want to be. The Greek philosopher Plato taught that personal contact was the essence of teaching. Do you remember having a school teacher who really made a subject come alive to you? One who really lit up your imagination and made you want to learn? Now try thinking of a computer-instructed course you might have taken. Did it ever give you the same sense of excitement? Direct contact is what meetings, conventions, and seminars are all about. They open you up to success by getting you excited about making sales. Telephone conversations or electronic communications simply do not provide the same value. They lack the personal contact that is so important when creating relationships and exchanging ideas. If you are not face-to-face, you have no eye contact. You do not get the same information that you can get from observing another's body language. In short, it is hard to form a relationship with a person when you are not face-to-face with that person. How many times have you heard somebody on the radio for years and then been surprised at the way they looked when you saw them in person? How many times has the same thing happened when you first met somebody you had only spoken with on the phone? In both cases, you had developed an incorrect mental image that may have clouded your opinion of this person. Direct contact creates the opportunity to form a relationship because it makes it personal. Paying attention to the speakers at meetings and seminars and by watching how top performers behave, even during breaks, can also teach you techniques and provide you with the communication skills of success. Remember what I said in step 3 about mimicking people's facial expressions and about reading what people are thinking by imitating their body language? Use your time in meetings not to just learn from what people are saying, but also to learn how they say it. Watching the speakers in meetings is often an excellent way to learn about which communication methods are more effective and which are not. I make a conscious effort to learn about communication from seminar speakers. I will even pick up the body language of a person I know is successful and imitate it later, even without even understanding why I'm copying them or why they're doing it. If it's working for him, I'll put it into play until I understand why it's working for him, and by then, it's working for me. Every year, our organization holds a national convention. I hold a contest among many of our managers to see how many agents they can recruit to come to this event. Why do I do this? Because I have seen year after year that the success of an organization directly corresponds to its national convention attendance. It is when people commit to building relationships that they stay in the organization long term. People who have never met the others in their organization have no sense of belonging. Everyone likes to feel as if they belong to something. Immediately following every NAA convention, the number of people writing business increases. I know that whichever manager promotes the convention the most effectively will be the manager who brings the most people to the convention. He will be the agency with the long-term sustained growth. When the top 30 agents or managers in our organization are selected, one thing common to all of them is the number of people they have attending the convention. Fact, the top 3 always have the most people to attend the annual convention. It's that simple. Also, meetings allow you to make a positive impression. By putting a face to a name makes a person recognizable. It stores an individual in your memory bank. Months down the road, you may find yourself saying, "Yep, I remember you. I met you at National Convention. We had a conversation, and it totally changed my business. It changed my life." Face-to-face contacts leave a lasting impression. So remember to leave a favorable impression. Think through the image you will present when you are meeting new people. Are you dressed in professional attire? Are you using eye contact? Are you speaking intelligently, or are you rambling? First impressions are lasting impressions. Make sure yours is always a good one. Attending meetings gives you credibility with your upline management. If your upline instructs you to be present at a weekly sales meeting at 8 a.m., be there at 7:45. Don't be late. Do not call at 7:55 and say that you're running behind because you're having car trouble. Be very respectful of other people's time. Meetings will allow you to associate with successful people. People's energy and motivation levels are contagious. Associate yourself with positive attitudes rather than with individuals with negative attitudes. Successful people surround themselves with successful people. You cannot stay hot if you do not stay close to the fire. The speakers we have at our meetings are the most successful among us. Listen to what they have to say. Observe how they handle themselves when speaking. Imitate what you see in their facial expressions and their body language. Be sure to use your time between speakers to meet the speakers and ask them questions. Use free time at conventions to talk with other successful agents. What an opportunity to learn. Get your head out of the sand, please. Lastly, consider your organization. If, for you, meetings are the least effective means of the three remaining methods, if you're more of a reader or more of a listener, consider that your organization is made up of different types of people. They're not all like you. So even if you find meetings less effective for yourself than reading and listening to digital recordings, attend all meetings as an encouragement to those in your downline who might find that these meetings are the most effective way to learn. Remember, part of your job is to lead. Make sure the people following you are learning all they can by copying your example. Successful people are driven people, motivated people, energetic people, and positive thinkers. They are winners. If you do not associate yourself with winners, how can you expect to win? Some great motivators that you could watch on television or watch them by following their blogs, whether you like them or not, are Bill Cowher. He's a former Pittsburgh Steelers coach, great guy to follow. Donald Trump, real estate, a lot of people watch him and learn. Lou Holtz, former head football coach. He's a great speaker, great commentator, leader. Joel Osteen, he is a minister and author. Rick Warren, another minister and author. Of course, Oprah Winfrey's she influences a lot of people. She's got a lot of power. She's a good one to watch. John Maxwell, who's a speaker and author. Dave Anderson, another speaker and author. And John Gordon, another speaker and author. Good people to watch. Take advantage of learning from people like these by attending their seminars. Take advantage of what National Agents Alliance has to offer by attending all of our meetings. There is so much to be gained and hardly anything to be lost at all, and it is a necessary step to success.